My name is Angelica Giacchella, and I have a message for all humans to care for their health. This is the Lenten season. Please think first and remember to care for your health. Please think first. Care for the health and well-being of your children. All fathers, mothers, all parents and caregivers of all little children. All the parents took the time and chose to care and love into existence a little baby. Every baby has a valuable life. It has a little kind heart, a little organ, a heart, soul, other organs, brain, physicality, that was loved into existence with two parents caring for their own health and planned ahead of time to take care of a little baby, then when it is a toddler, a child, a teen, until adult years and as needed. The mother chose to have a baby and cared for it and her own health and respected and nurtured it in the womb for 9 long months. So, out of respect of this little baby, out of respect of the parents, would have a dignity within them of God to be respected, as every human is to be respected, a valuable life, a human being with a brain, mind, organs, life force, and soul. To be respected, the parents, to respect their own health and lives, and to stay home on worship days. On Sundays, which is not a day of worship. Sundays are a day of rest. Before and after a long work week. Before and after a long school week. As all humans know, humans have to rest. They have to sleep enough to function properly, to have enough rest to sleep, for their brain, their mind, organs to function properly while rested. Sundays in the whole world, for humans, religious or not, and the whole weekend, including Saturdays, are considered days of rest. Humans work a long school or work week, and unfortunately, most humans still poor. Work hard and educate themselves first throughout their lives, studying, and work hard basic jobs, unfortunately not funded, more paying jobs properly as they're supposed to by the head governments, prime ministers, and world leaders. And the Pope, who has to care and do his job by law and under God to make sure this is done in the world, to consult the world leaders with the budgets to fund proper jobs for humans to have proper pay, proper employers that employ proper employees that respect and treat with respect and care for their customers and patrons, to hire humans with proper amounts of money so they can make enough money for their basic necessities of life and a bit more to live a happy life. a good quality life, to have enough food, nutritious food, money for that, money for drinks, for water. For half the world is living in too cold temperatures to survive and or to function properly, and half the world is living in too hot temperatures to survive or function properly as a human being, a live human with a brain, organs, and physicality. Humans' temperature normally is approximately 36.6 degrees. And humans do best what they can, essentially first, to survive in the elements and need money to build houses, to survive and shelter themselves from the elements, from the cold to cold temperatures and to warm temperatures, to shelter themselves as they care and to be respected, as every human doesn't want to live in too cold temperatures and suffer frostbite, which causes severe organ damage and can't be healed. And other two warm countries humans live in need shelter to shelter them from the sun, to prevent cancer on the skin, to prevent dehydration. These are things that the world leaders have all budgets and are trained and study approximately 4 years, including the Pope, to maneuver this money in these budgets to care for and put enough money and into funding for the basic necessities of life for all humans in every country, and to make sure that all humans have enough money that for jobs that are willing to work, and to be have given enough money to make to pay for the shelter, the homes, to shelter themselves, parents and their children, their little pets if they have them, to use this money that they need for food and other basic necessities of life. So all humans, remember, think first if it is too cold, if it is too warm outside, then save the hard-earned money that you have. As I stated, all the world is essentially still poor because of these world leaders not doing their job what they're trained to do, and studied, actually paid money to study, to learn, to respect human life, to understand, and they know that they want to be treated with respect and dignity and have rights, to have enough proper shelter from the elements, from too cold to warm temperatures, enough money, basic money for food, for clothing, for nutritious food, for proper medical care, for money to be provided for studies, proper educational programs in schools at every level, elementary, high school, universities, to care for and nurture the mind and physical health well-being of humans, trained teachers, to care for and respect the lives of innocent children who are the future of this world, to hire proper trustees that employ these teachers, to monitor if they actually hired when they state in their when they're employing rather, about to employ rather, a teacher, they ask the questions, and all job descriptions, all employers ask the question, are you going to respect the other humans you're going to work with? In that what your job is that you are trained to do? Are you gonna treat others humans with respect that you want to be respected? Are you as a teacher going and a priest, ministers, other humans, other jobs, and the world leaders are trained, are asked these questions by employers, the Pope, the human representative on earth of God. Are you going to respect the people that you are going to work with and are going to employ under you? Treat them as you want to be treated fairly as a human being, a valuable life that wants to have proper health and be cared for by other humans? Are you a teacher, a minister, priest, pope, president, prime minister, medical doctor, psychiatrist, pharmacist, secretary, medical secretary, pharmaceutical company world leader separately? Are you in the bioethics boards? Are you in the World Health Organization? Are all of you going to what you studied for 4 long years and your parents cared for and helped you, or you worked hard and studied and learned and paid off to learn to help others in that certain job description? Are you going to respect other humans and actually do your job? And that certain jobs like world leaders and Pope have the budgets to accomplish, to care for humans, respect their dignity of God, to provide proper funding for proper jobs so they have enough money to live, sheltered from the elements, to have enough money for a proper house, proper heating, in half the world to cold temperatures, mainly in Canada and the States, and half the world to hot temperatures, to have shelter and air conditioning as needed, fans, to make sure humans have normal temperatures to live in proper shelter homes as they deserve, as they would want to be live and be respected that way. Their health, humans have to have normal temperatures to function at all times, and children, enough food, nutritious food, 3 meals a day basically, snacks in between for essentially fuel. Human old cells die, new ones grow. They all know this, and humans need calories from food, nutritious food, as they want to have and need to survive and live and function from healthy as they possibly can. To have enough water, to provide enough funding for proper greenhouses everywhere in the world, to make sure rather that all food is grown properly. Their bioethics boards, humans specifically trained to respect the lives, the ethics of what is morally right to do about these situations in terms of food and human life and animal lives, children's lives, animals' lives, their children's lives, nature, plants, all living creatures, to do what's morally right, to choose what vaccines are proper, which are not, which to actually do research on, and what is not allowed, that will potentially endanger the lives of millions of humans, animals, and nature in the world, and leave it out of it. Unfortunately, this is not going on in the world respected by all head departments, world leaders, employers. They want to be respected by all humans and treated with respect and dignity, their rights, their human God-given free will of choice, to be respected in every whatever gender they have, whatever religion that they are. They want to be respected by all other humans, treated that way, but they are not respecting in their job descriptions all humans that they trained and studied. Their family even helped them funding learn as children for years, elementary, cared for their health to high school, university, and then they even other worked jobs not easy to do, no, but trained to work with humans, medical degrees, doctors, psychiatrists, president, prime ministers, pope, long, horrendously long hours of studies, half too cold, half too warm, but learned, but are not doing their job entirely. 100 million people have suffered for 100 million years. They have the budgets, the high level, this prime minister in Canada, previous years, the president of the United States, all governing, presidential secretaries, and different representatives in every state are many, and then under them employed. In Canada, the prime minister rather, in every province have governing offices, working humans employed, all have the budgets, resources to maintain this for humans as they want to be treated. With respect, have a nice warm home every million seconds. Keep in mind, is not a second. 100 million people are living on the street. In Ontario, the main province, I know in Toronto and Canada, homeless. Canada is not a land of opportunity. While it is more sought by humans poor in other countries, more safe considered maybe than some other countries and the states, humans come here with high hopes of a country with a lot of with the resources and paid for OHIP, such as Ontario Health Insurance Premium, but are not treated with respect by all employees. There are not all employees, and the Prime Minister included, doing all in their job description to do. That their parents cared enough to nurture for years and studied 20 years till adult, then went to the college universities and studied themselves. To trained specifically to work with humans, to use their budget that they have to care for human life. By law and under God, they are asked this question on the earth. Are you going to do everything you're trained in your job description to respect the human lives and those employed under you and the 100 million people that you're supposed to put a budget for shelter, proper medical care, proper enough money for food, shelter, and all to help disabled to fund entirely with the basic necessities that they would work but they can't? 100 million seconds day and night as needed, enough funding for the quality proper that they would want, the president, prime minister, the pope, all other governing bodies, that they would need the number of thousands of dollars to basically cover shelter, a clean and warm room, a bed, a kitchen, a washroom, paid enough. What they cannot work is beyond their control. A child, an orphan, to be put in a home to find the funding resources in the whole world. They cannot say they don't. They have their children and live in the mansions. They studied for years. Then they don't do everything for hundreds of years. The world leaders flew in their jets to summit meetings. The jets alone cost millions to billions of dollars. For fuel, seriously rather pollute the environment. Did for years. They could have stayed in their office, used this money in their budget as they trained. They studied in courses, wrote the tests, thought that they were gonna and have to use this money to help the humans the way they want to be treated with respect and to have enough homes, money, shelter, as the way their wife wants to be treated, to have a warm home, enough money, and their children, so their children want to be respected, they know, cared for, so they have a warm home, enough money every day, every bottle of milk, formula, healthy food, proper ethics boards governing this, employed, that they have to monitor but are not doing, to make sure they hire humans that care, do the proper research to find out which baby formula is best for human health, which baby bottles, what materials they're made of is best for human health, the baby, for animals of different species, of all humans, to provide proper greenhouses, shelter, jobs for those in every country, and they have the budgets to help the less fortunate countries and world leaders. This is about human respect of other humans. They studied as years, and the family members, as I said, nurtured this and took long years of studies themselves, are not doing everything in their job description for 100 years. 100 million people suffered, 100 million lives in children, disabled orphans. There's over 1 million to 2 billion more children left alone in the world because a result of pandemics and the different natural disasters and other things left on the street in the dark alone. It is not a second, it is long hours. Crying in the dark, no house, no food, and no water. A human has no meal, has their stomach, is already eating, has a stomach acid, digesting in there, becomes ill within seconds to minutes. A human is starving then, and the stomach is growling. They do not have enough food, nutrients to function, to grow blood, and enough calories to think and function to move the muscles, organs. No vitamins, no electrolytes, and they are starving. There is one meal not given to a child and babies. In the poor countries in Africa, mainly, and even in Canada, there are orphans, humans on the street, of many ages. In America, 100 million people, as they know for the years. This President Biden, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and previous ones. I made a recent video stating this. And they have to do their job, or they are already responsible if they don't do everything in their job description, which they are trained, chose and know to do, and sworn oaths under God to do, and by law are required to do on earth. To use these budgets, the billions of dollars, not to fund useless police cruisers, useless planes and air shows that harm humans' lives, including mine, illegally, and had no right to do in hearing, physical health, and did nothing to rectify it. They have criminal charges against them. They knew to prevent this, they disrespected the health and lives of people. They have no right to know to do, rather, and they know. There's 100 million people in the world. Kind-hearted people, poor, donating money to causes, relief efforts, UN. There are organizations that care. But the amount of money that has to be given is from the world leaders' budgets for those countries, to respect the human lives that they want to be treated, are trained to do, to put relief efforts immediately to those countries that they need, not state on Twitter that we're standing by. They have the resources and phones, cell phones, that they are to put near the ears, and contact phone number to look up in the offices right away, maneuver the funding. They are, the humans in earthquake recently in rubble. Maneuver, take the phone call they're supposed to. President, Prime Minister, all countries, Pope, take cell phone to ear call a funding office, put to the country there where the earthquake is. You don't do right away. People suffering. I dumb down for you. You have the intelligence, but no heart. You are disrespectful humans. As you know, you have no right to run the countries. And you saw, like me, suffer 100 million people for years. And all previous prime ministers entirely didn't do their job. Presidents, the popes. These ones, old, clearly can't be working at all anyways, because of their age. There's no old pope in the world that can get up in the morning early and do his job. These any popes for the previous hundreds of years obviously didn't do their human job representative of God on earth to be in they contact, but to deal with further online, to see in modern day what's going online, what the world is going morally, to set a really good moral human example, to put a mask on during COVID times. Every time the Pope Francis, Pope Benedict that recently died, no masks in front of St. Peter's Square. Holy St. Peter's Square. The Holy Vatican. Mentioning, how dare they, Jesus' name, God's name, Holy Spirit's name. Pope Benedict died. An old man, did almost nothing on God's side as human in the world, together working with world leaders for long as he was there, to accomplish, to care, and put funding maneuver to the orphans, billion children, the previous pope as well, the world leaders, the previous world leaders in every country, trained for this, studied years, as I stated, and have the budgets. They neglected the lives of children, begging for food. Poor people donate when they can, but as I told in a previous video, directed at the world leaders. They have the budgets. Tell them they have criminal charges against these innocent lives. When they don't provide the basic rather necessities of life for children, as they want their own children to be respected, to have enough shelter out of the cold or too warm, to have a medical care team there, clinic, easily accessible, and jobs, humans willing to work there in Africa, billions. Have lives like them, have no money, poor since born, and if they survive, even some other parents care, or some caregiver, but need money, like asking for food and water themselves. Take care of a little child. They have the clothes on the back if lucky, and have that for years. One t-shirt, one shorts, no, they have one pair underwear. They need diapers changed every day, don't have. 100 million seconds to put a diaper on a child, then the next one, change the next one, out of respect of a baby's life. A baby bottle needs clean diaper. The poops, then I need clean by a caring parent. They don't have a parent. Parent either died, the parent in rubble, baby crying, left alone, cannot take care of itself. Toddlers learning to walk, move, need cells, nutrients, growing all time since baby too. They left alone, walking on street, no food, starving, the stomach acids digesting nothing, burned inside of the belly. They are to be respected and cared for. The elements took away their parents, the earthquakes. They are crying alone. While the president is living with his billion-dollar jets, polluting the world, shaking the world, flying by, what is supposed to train use this money to give the money for homes immediately for these children. Vaccines, different ones even against COVID, the most recent ones against COVID and the variant strains, monkeypox, is spread from animals to humans. They have a life as they want these world leaders and the Pope to be respected as they want to have up-to-date most recent vaccines. So in case they get a virus such as COVID, a variant mutant strain of it, monkeypox, Ebola virus, different bacteria, and mostly in warm countries, they don't want to become ill. If they get a vaccine, want to be respected that way to have one. So if they ever get the virus, it fight the body, knows how it makes antibodies to fight it off, and they don't get the symptoms and don't become ill. They're not maneuvering. The president, the prime minister, the pope, there's other world leaders. They all know, and religious ones under God are morally obligated. There's the ones not religious but trained know under God all do morally right, are required by law on earth too. To respect are trained all of these main job titles. Respect the dignity of a human life as they want to be respected. To have proper up-to-date vaccines, medical clinic closely accessible, paid for by the governments, by all governing bodies who have the financial resources. That is their job. Trained, if they cannot, are not going to rather do this, they have to resign immediately. They haven't done in past years. They are leaving the world to suffer in ways they don't want to suffer and know. Ill health, not vaccinated, humans, children, animals, loved pets, dying, 2 weeks suffering rather and dying. Coronavirus, they know what happened during SARS. They know to prevent this, are not doing it. They're not putting the financial resources for all vaccine research to be done in the world. They are not looking into other research facilities that are severely endangering the lives of potentially 100 million people, doing illegal, unethical research, making strains of coronavirus and other ones beyond disrespecting the lives of humans, potentially animals, for the future of humanity in the world. It is their job to look into and close these already. I spoke this through already throughout the past months. What they haven't acted upon is a disrespect of human life and 100 billion people. They know that they have no right to do this, but are morally responsible, and for the suffering, all health failing, children left alone crying, emotional distress of little babies with no bottles feed their growing but have no baby formula, 100 million seconds every day to have throughout the day one bottle and enough food, nutrients throughout the days and someone to give it to them. Or starving rather, dehydrated, the cells shaking, then their belly, poor little belly, is in pain. They're struggling to survive alone, even at night. There's no light. A dark, alone, a baby, alone with no one to take care of it. Then the next second, in another meal but didn't have. It can't grow. The heart is struggling to survive. Is dying alone. Half the world too cold, some in frostbite. Toddlers don't know to talk yet, to go somewhere, knock on door to help, get someone to help them. 100 million children in the world. A bird almost is more approximately a billion. Still exist 100 million over the years. It is the moral responsibility of the popes. At a respect of their own lives, they trained for this. They studied the long hours tests specifically oriented in these matters. Doing absolutely nothing, almost nothing, all in the resource job description, they are morally obligated under God and asking them while employed, before employed rather, are you going to respect the children? Are you going to, Pope Francis, respect the lives and health of million children? Humans, adults, animals, nature. Are you, President Biden, going to respect the lives of children? Humans, all animals, nature, in the world, in America? Are you, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, are you going to, what you studied long years and your parents helped nurture throughout years, and study long built on knowledge from elementary, high school, university, paid the money, are you going to respect 100 million children, adults, humans, nature, provide proper medical facilities, care, make sure you hire the proper colleges, employers that are going to hire proper medical staff that care, psychiatrists, nurses, practical nurses, doctors, ethics boards, bioethics boards, leaders, deal with the pharmaceutical companies properly, make sure they hire proper caring, ethically, morally right humans to head these. Are you going to respect humans? I'm not going to give you this job. If you're going to disrespect and not do anything else in your power and budget to do to fund proper basic housing for all, proper funding for jobs, proper medical facilities, hospitals, mental health, long-term care facilities, children hospitals, disability money, for obviously to consider 100 million seconds, not a second, a human is beyond their control, has a brain injury or spine injury, cannot work to keep themselves out of the elements, has to be respected so they don't freeze to death. 100 million seconds that they would love to do but can't. Brain damaged, organ damaged. To keep in mind, these people need a certain amount of thousands that a human normally would make basically to live, and a bit more would they do something to bring joy to their lives. If for enough food to cover 3 meals a day, snacks in between, nutritious food, water, and throughout the night is needed, and a place safe to sleep. A basic hotel room in Canada, as known, is approximately $250 a night. For just a room with a bed, a little desk, and a little washroom. Sometimes maybe a little fridge and a small microwave. That's for $250 with no food added to it, no water, that a human disabled that cannot work but would love to do but can't because they're injured, are blind or deaf, they have a brain injury, they cannot think properly but would love to do. They need further already medical care. They need volunteers, other medical staff that are clearly can easily be funded by the government. The Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, the American President Biden, and previous ones. The Pope Francis and previous popes. Other world religious leaders. The Dalai Lama, to look into this, World Health Organization. These are not poor people. These are highly educated people that are studied the long years and parents nurtured and funded their studies. And in case some were poor and actually worked themselves, know it is hard themselves to get a better job and then in these countries to respect even more, to put proper normal funding for children to learn, to have paid colleges, paid university studies in too cold temperatures, to provide proper medical staff that care. I've been a victim of horrendous medical negligence for 20 years, 2 decades. I studied as child, barely worked for to even find that job. Someone kind enough gave the adults who were retired her, but I a child in a assembly line for 8 long hours in sun to get $7 an hour and to pay for your university studies. And this is how children in Canada mistreated. Humans love to learn. Most don't learn because they can't afford and don't even try. But would actually, some are very intelligent and would do a good job as a doctor after university through studies built on high school, right to do. Colleges to hire, give money for those minds, to put enough warm water, food, housing properly close to the campus, fully paid, basic enough for the student to live. Easily done and morally under God and by law had to be done. These are jobs that the world leaders, they are trained, know what their budgets for this are for. Haven't maneuvered their financial resources to students, humans, long-term care facilities, to look into who they're hiring, who they're letting into the country. Psychiatrist number one, 100 million illegally wrong ones working medically incompetent that studied 4 years to help people. These are, they deal with mental health. This is a serious area in the medical field. Humans have brain injuries. The human, as everyone knows, the brain controls millions of physiological functions, needs specialists in this field. This psychiatrist has dealt with me 100 over 20 years, illegally put on forms of general terms such as schizophrenia, psychosis, other humans under terms like mania, wrongly admitted by these negligent staff. The colleges went along with hiring them and paid, gave them the job they swore no on or under God rather. They are asked, are you going to help human health? I am not going to give you 400,000 to $1 million a year if you are going to neglect your job and harm patient lives. The psychiatrists mainly that help human brain health know are supposed to mainly recommend nutrients and proper quality of life. Help humans that way with the brain injuries. These ones have been illegally prescribing dangerous antipsychotics to oversedate humans and put in mental wards rather on forms illegally, most like me. And a woman didn't need it all, so they have a patient to see once every 2 weeks to write a torture prescription of a dangerous antipsychotic that clearly shouldn't be on the market, is endangering human lives, and is never beneficial to human health, especially for human with a brain mental health disorder. It is clearly known that clozapine is a torture pill. It harms the human brain, physical fat, growing too much visceral fat on the belly, leads the sugar levels rather go up and down, leads to diabetes. In the long run, mortality rate is increasing. Human, they die. Their longevity is reduced. Human live 10 to 15 years less if given clozapine in the long run. The pharmaceutical companies are still selling these, promoting, and the FDA. In recent years, the FDA put restrictions more on some of these. They didn't entirely get it off the market. As I stated, and these world leaders are funding these. This funding could go and fire these humans, care, and put some more money into a naturopath hired someone oriented in care for human health as they are trained. They study long years. It is not easy studies. The parents cared, loved them into existence, the mother and womb of a child, raised as properly as she could, and cared for the student throughout took to elementary, high school, university, humans of all job fields. The children then studied long studies, these humans to work in pharmaceutical companies head once. The bioethics boards is disgraceful what they're doing in the world. It is beyond disheartening and unethical in itself. They make the millions dollars. For the past years I've seen, and they're disrespecting 100 million lives and have no right to do no. They have criminal charges. They cannot make their paycheck, they know, but are. They are asked if they're going to respect and know 100 million people are under them that they're going to affect their lives, every decision they make to make sure clozapine is off the market, but they don't. They endangered and harmed my life, a woman that didn't even need, and a woman is not to be given clozapine. No human alive is to be given clozapine. I didn't even need it at all. The side effects human has and can have children. The brain is damaged needlessly, especially if human doesn't need it. The human, as I stated, in the long run, it is not a cure to the human. It harms severely the human, and a human with brain injuries are usually given in Canada, for example, where I wasn't seen, to humans with that are recovering drug addicts, recovering alcoholics, have already impaired brains some way, already have health concern that requires more counseling to be taken care of, put in a proper medical ward, to have a caring nursing attendant there to help them, to give them nutritious food, to help the brain recover properly that way with nutrients, proper electrolytes, proper vitamin D, help their immune system, help the brain. Hire brain specialists, not psychiatrists. Most of psychiatrists employed, and almost I would say, unless there's two in the world, there's 100 million of these negligent staff that make the $1 million and wrongly affiliate, make another paycheck with a university, well known in University of Toronto, Harvard, in Australia, and many countries in the world. They lived and have their luxury vehicles and heated, pay for luxuries beyond any human words. When they sign illegal prescriptions for such as clozapine, olanzapine, polyperidone, risperidone, loxapine, Abilify, aripiprazole. These are harmful chemicals. These are never beneficial to human health in the brain and physicality. I'm a victim of all of these, and a woman clearly didn't need. These are first class and first generation, rather than second generation antipsychotics, benzodiazepines. These are given to patients put illegally in that are supposed to be in medical wards under the term schizophrenia, a general term, psychosis, mania, which is not a specific brain disorder, not a specific mental health concern name. I already put a video previously for world leaders and everyone to do their part, doctors, psychiatrists, to please help get rid of these from the world entirely and online. It is considered misinformation, these terms. 100 like myself, million people wrongly admitted had to go, I had a blood clot, a medical concern, serious one. But a wrongly doctor put misdiagnosed and for beyond wrong reasons to have a patient to make a paycheck. Then the doctors wrongly stated and went along, these other negligent ones couldn't, and put in a mental ward, not a medical one. Then they put a human there is suffering they have the funding and people donating and advertising to give funding by poor people donating to them, to this like CAMH, Center for Addiction and Mental Health. and other facilities, Mount Sinai Hospital in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and other places in the world. It is beyond disgraceful how they already have the billions, quadrillions of dollars, and do not maneuver to hire. They have 1 or 2 nutrition staff, which is more needed than any of the psychiatrists working there, to actually care for human and give them a proper meal, nutritious one do. But even those humans working there hide a meal, a boost to give to someone that someone else said they had extra or didn't need, to help someone that is starving there with no food and water, some there for over 20 years, illegally suffering in a ward and can't go outside, over sedated by clozapine, harming the brain, humans with nice, intelligent minds, people from newcomers from other countries, children with bright futures, were illegally put there misdiagnosed and can't get out, and some don't know English, that are not even told that they don't have, they put on schizophrenia and psychosis. Is not even, they don't even told what it is. I'm intelligent, no, I told these people myself. I have a university degree, life science, no, the doctors know, and all the religious Christian side studies, ethics, knowledge. But these humans don't, are illegally kept there by the psychiatrists, negligent ones, make the $1 million, don't look the patient in the eye, are morally doing wrong under God, and the governing colleges still make the $1 million hiring them. They are still there, and on disability, few $100s, not enough to live. They are illegally harmed, and the disability then have to be maneuvered from the prime minister and president. They are accomplices and didn't do their entire job to make sure they hired proper medical boards, proper medical staff, proper hospital managers, the facility managers, all the employees in CAMH almost illegally wronging patients and go along for years. That I know is before I was even wrongly put there, approximately 1999, over 2 decades, with no food and water, disgusting buildings, stale air. Recent years, they've had some more funding. People kind hearted saying to donate to them. They have the billions of dollars, are not actually giving money for food. That's what actually these humans with brain mental health disorders need. A nice gym to exercise, go out freely, caring staff to walk with them if needed, proper nursing staff. That's what they're actually trained, these nurses, doctors, psychiatrists, to do. These psychiatrists have been let into the country and are work and don't know even English barely. Have their journals are beyond wrong. I don't know who published this as well, are going along with this. Misinforming people. They do illegal torture research on humans, not consented by the patient. This is illegal torture, is a disrespect of dignity life of humans. They know under God and actually swore an oath to God that they're going to make a paycheck, the psychiatrists, doctors, nurses, the medical secretaries, the board members, especially CAMH Mount Sinai. This is well known in downtown Toronto. And under by law, that they're going to help the patient's health that they studied and their family helped them study for years and funded. And then for after long years of hard studies, I know, then they studied nurses especially, and the extra year for a registered nurse. They do absolutely nothing to care for humans. They say I'm on break. Every nursing staff, and I told other humans that work there that don't know English, keep pushing the issue. If they tell you they're on break, tell them you need food to do their job or they're gonna get fired. Get a different nursing staff, file a complaint, press charges. These humans are making money and have a point to sign saying they're on break and planning their lunch break all the time, talking to children on the phone. Every nursing staff, every registered nurse, practical nurse, GP, every medical doctor that comes writes the illegal torture paper for clozapine, olanzapine, risperidone, paliperidone, loxapine. These are the thing for anxiety relief. I am, and they're not prescribing the meals that they need, the nutritious ones, not even one. Sometimes they find one meal, maybe for Christmas. I was there starving, and I'm an educated human against this. Chose to eat food and illegally given rather dangerous antipsychotics, benzodiazepines. I had a blood clot that needed blood thinners, endangered my life in itself. That any competent doctor would know. I don't have to. I don't have schizophrenia. No human does. I told everyone. I put a video recently to get rid of this. Help me in the world. Hasn't been accomplished yet. Out of respect of my life and millions of people in the world. I lost 2 decades of life suffering when I already studied with a varsity figure skater. Could have done my medical research for years and saved lives, 100 million people. I was illegally had my brain tortured and physical health with clozapine, olanzapine, risperidone, polyperidone, loxapine. Push one from another I fought against, and illegally put substitute decision makers to make decisions that knew were not educated, so to make treatment decisions. This is not treatment. A right to reject my own, out of my own intelligence, respect of my own life, have rights as a patient and human, free of choice. And I'm intelligent, university educated in life science, what doctors know, to reject clozapine when I clearly don't need it. Could have had children studied for years, do research, and help the world drastically for 20 years. Not suffering over and then blood testing frequently when human too weak to get up and they keep asking for blood work. And no food. They don't give any food. Disgusting muffin in the morning, one box of milk, maybe the eggs. Then throughout the day, the meal's disgusting is worse than cardboard. Disgusting piece of chicken with a little bone, fat that human can't even chew, and a disgusting human spits out and has the taste even in their mouth. And then there's no money for any even wash. There's no money. They have the funding. These people live, and then humans ask for food and are given nothing. Then ask for meal replacements. Sometimes there's 2 nutrition staff that are hired. They care and I clearly want to help these people, but if they're not given the funding to that department for the food, meal replacements, need supplements. Doctors, humans begging, they barely to save pennies, or I don't know, they're heartless individuals. They know on clozapine, humans have to have enough vitamins, vitamin B complex for the brain to help in itself. What humans need in itself, not clozapine. B complex, essentially omega-3s, help the brain and heart. Potassium for the heart and brain, and vitamin D mainly. The nervous system and brain. There's a lot of research done in the world already. Everyone knows, medically competent doctors, staff, nurses, all know, GPs, psychiatrists study this for years. All humans need, if I have brain injuries and every human health, is proper nutrition, proper counseling, to help them have a good job, something that makes them happy, to find a proper family, someone to help them, a volunteer, someone to help them throughout their life. These are humans with a brain injury. They need a good quality of life, enough money to live, something to make them happy. So they have a healthy brain, organs, good quality of life that deserve, that all the others want to have. The doctors, they want to be treated, have good medical staff. The president, the prime minister, the pope, all the governing colleges that they employ them, ask them these questions: are you going to do your job, or I can't hire you? They're making illegally money, billions, 100 over the years, $100 million, many of them $1 million each year. I found a complaint and had the right to have a medical negligence lawyer. Can't afford. That's the only one has to be changed. That's not funded in Ontario. Every other case, and this is illegally, was done to me, and a right to have a medical negligence lawyer to put these humans in prison that knew to help human health but didn't, and illegally tortured human me alive with clozapine and inhumane living conditions forced to stay against my free of choice that I clearly didn't need to be and didn't want to be in, put on forms so they have a patient to see once every 2 weeks to a month and say I'm gonna come back in 2 weeks, write the prescription for clozapine or harmful antipsychotics, uh, benzodiazepine, something for humans to calm them down, to over sedate them with the clozapine so they're knocked out cold and struggling, have saliva drooling and ill for 12 hours. Harm the health drastically and come back and write another torture prescription. Putting on these the words themselves need changed. Psychosis ward. This is not a psychosis ward. It's a torture chamber. It's a place of illegal bodily harm against human freedom of choice, an inhumane place entirely. Rats cause different health concerns every medical practitioner knows. If there's a rat, I even was there telling they don't even maneuver their butts to walk there and get an exterminator. I called the other wards, someone complained after years ago. I told her already phone you. You all know this. These people are in medical long-term care facilities, mental health. They need, if a rat comes there, they don't know if COVID is gonna have, the rat has COVID. Rodents carry different diseases from who knows where. We'll put it into a building where 100 patients are already ill with a brain damage, some other health concern, and don't want to get COVID in addition to it. Monkeypox, who knows what, any other health concern, viruses, bacteria. They don't even maneuver themselves to fix this. One of them maybe cares, said they did, but I don't know. I'd have to follow and go there physically. I would do it to see if they told the truth. If they actually call exterminator and sterilize, sanitize every place, room. These are disrespectful humans. And these are the Prime Minister. These are Justin Trudeau. All the previous ones have to turn the paycheck in severely and I put another video recently to watch, and they have to watch. I'm a humanitarian. I'm a victim horrendous of their in essence, mistreatment of a live human, myself, a woman. Couldn't have children because they didn't do their job entirely, as millions of people in the world, children, old people, newcomers, disrespected in Canada by medical staff of all kinds, of all job titles. In the main, even downtown Toronto, over 2 decades, over 20 years, 365 days a year kept in a building, disgusting room with no food, and there's maybe built over the years one gym. And in COVID recent times, SARS patients can't go outside unless really monitored to prevent the spread to other patients. Stay indoors, nothing to do. Social workers, there's two would actually care, but not hire more to give them the money that they actually have billions to buy them clothing, nice jacket, gifts that they can't go outside themselves to store. Would hire them, they would go and buy for these patients, have the right to have enough money to live. The ODSP money, Ontario Disability Support Program, was giving to some people $150 to last a whole month. A human with brain injuries caused by these negligent doctors that they hired and paid, the government gave them $1 million rather, and are affiliated with another job with U of T. Head clinical scientists, they have 4 job titles. Head clinical scientist, head clinical researcher, other departments, researchers, well-known humans smiling, other doctors walk by and smile their way. A human being need to put illegally in these words to have them, when I contact them, never answer the phone after they wrong me, but for years put a human there on the forms and kept stating come back in 2 weeks and leave. And when I human call them to this and say you have to direct the colleges investigating, what I mean investigating, I write to speak to these humans that harm me and tell them the truth. How I have no home because of them, I have no children, They ruined my life, knew not to. I put the phone calls in and never replied. These are in Canada to be changed, and I made videos that all the governing bodies to change this. They are even have to work to give, if they use their money for vacation money or whatever to live. President Justin Trudeau, other people, the Prime Minister in other countries, the President, the Pope, not morally looking into doing his job as supposed to. Always on Twitter though. One or two things about God and Jesus, but he has a job title under God, is to care and respect the dignity of 100 million people, to work together with the world leaders. What their job is to care for humans, their health, make sure they have enough food, shelter, basic necessities, peaceful place to live, make sure there's enough funding for in the proper place only as needed, not too much of the military to keep in peacekeeping missions, to help people, to the funding maneuver to the UN or whatever organization is there to help when there's a emergency relief effort needed, to humans. As they would want right away, if some building fell down, earthquake near them, they want some staff to be maneuvered to help them save their life if they're bleeding, to help them out of the rubble, to give them money to live. Then those humans don't have money to live if their houses tumble down during an earthquake. They cannot work after. They need relief efforts and all different construction teams to clear the rubble, to help people, to maneuver, make a simple housing facility, maneuver themselves. If there's a hospital, empty rooms there, maneuver, give people, tell them for now to go there, get the funding right away. They're not doing their jobs. They want to be treated that way and have the resources to do, but not doing. They are responsible. They are trained and chose to help people this way. Have the budgets, but not doing, and millions suffering needlessly. They have to apologize formally to the victims, maneuver the funding budgets, and use their own paychecks to turn in when they didn't do their job. They cannot keep their paychecks. By law and under God. Have to give back their paychecks if they already used their money. Have to work it off. Get a loan, take the money first and give it back. Do properly more to whoever hired them, to maneuver funding to hire someone immediately that will care and give money to the victims that they wronged. They didn't provide proper caring funding for shelter to begin with. They didn't provide the budgets to relief efforts right away. Humans suffered, they have no right to do. These are charges against the world leaders. And humans of all job descriptions that are studied and cared and parents raised to respect and treat humans with respect as they want to be a valuable life that belongs to God. Humans, religious or not, as they want to be treated a dignity, respected by all, and millions suffering not treated this way by all humans of all job titles, mainly in the world leaders. Job descriptions and the Pope. Dalai Lama is well known. He has a huge say in the world too. They're all on Twitter every day. It is true, anyone can go see, and they have the billions of followers. Recently, they see, but have to keep up with this online. Sometimes they put a mask on after to respect humans or leaders. Pope is not doing. He is not a good example on earth. I don't know why he's still working there. He can't. New Year's, there was just past 2023. Pope Francis, no mask, endangered the lives of 100,000. This stated rather approximately online, but it stated approximately 70,000 people were there in St. Peter's Square from who knows what country. No masks. No 2 meters away from all humans. No social distancing enforced, even spoken one word of by the Pope Francis. By any others that worked with him, under God, they did a severe injustice and disrespected the dignity, health, and lives and endangered potentially the rest of the world with the spread of coronavirus and variant mutated different strains going on in the world. Monkeypox, a virus that spreads to humans, animals with respiratory tracts that humans suffer till 2 weeks and die. Other viruses, bacteria currently going on in the world. Humans traveled from different countries to St. Peter's Square, a holy ground of God, is supposed to be mandated closed. All world leaders know and the Pope Francis to close that square entirely. When there's COVID and other these virulent strains of different viruses, the bacteria going on till these pandemics are gone to prevent this spread to others. If it's prevented from spreading and proper vaccination, social distancing, humans put a lot of effort, especially people in different medical wards. These humans suffered horrendously, cannot go outside, but did their part, other staff for years. It is approximately 4 years more. While COVID is in existence, humans suffered. They're not enforcing. There's a lot of restrictions rather lifted. The Pope is not doing his job, stating angry and standing to the world, saying there in that square with a mask on and online, not in front of the square. The Pope is not telling the world leaders, the President Biden, the Justin Trudeau Prime Minister, all the other world leaders, the Dalai Lama. They are under God, half 2 million people to keep in mind. 100 million people are suffering. They about to spread and they're morally responsible for these humans' lives suffering when they suffer 2 weeks and die and lose a parent, and that child has no one to take care of them in the cold and never have a home, no last thing crying, my mommy, where's my mommy? For life. Where's my pet? It died. There's a virus. The emotions, children. Parents lose a child because of COVID because they didn't prevent the spread. The Pope didn't say, okay, stay away from St. Peter's Square. He endangered the lives and mentioned Holy Mary's name. When rather Pope Benedict died, he was already dead. He's not gonna get the virus. People showed up there. I don't know who informed these people. I don't know, or beyond wrong in themselves. Endangered other people's lives too. But the Pope had to tell them as a human representative on earth. That's his job. Someone tell him what his job is. There's one thing is writing on Twitter to help mentioning about Jesus or this, but it's under God to do what Jesus do and tell these people respect the dignity of God, a valuable life, and to for himself to wear a mask to prevent the spread. And people see, okay, Pope's wearing a mask. He's under God, a human representative on earth. I'm gonna do like him. The best thing to wear a mask to prevent the spread. People see it and they do. People see there's no more masks and world leaders wearing, they're not gonna wear the mask if not informed. There's a millions that they're not looking into. The Pope have to do. Pope Francis, Justin Trudeau, President Biden. I am speaking to you. Angelica Gicella, I'm a human being, but also an earth angel. I have a high ranking in the heavens, but on earth. I outrank the Pope by far. I am a humanitarian. I have my honors bachelor in life sciences and Christian studies of all kinds. Ethics, genetics, neurobiology, all sciences of humans to respect animals and nature. I am a public figure in myself, and I stated and put these videos there for you all already in past months to respect dignity of all that you didn't and in previous years, the previous employed of all industries. It is your job to act, to watch the videos. Some lengthy, I only could do what I do. I'm beyond in other means crippled myself, but only could, so take time, even watch part at time, and watch the other half when you can. You have to remember this in your job descriptions all the time. 100 million people suffered. You have to do the right thing and put your paycheck back if you into the victims to care. Formally apologize to each one. Every child you left without food and water. You wouldn't leave your child alone without food and water. You have the budgets trained for this. You didn't maneuver there. They suffered there. You had no right for yourself to make it another human life live to suffer, an innocent child crying alone in the dark with no light, with no food, no diapers, chains given to them, no clothing. The girls need feminine padding, don't have children. Every day, 7 days menstrual cycle, don't have. Need underwear, a girl. Need the shorts, need a t-shirt, nice clothing, children, bright future. They need school supplies. In Africa, there's a billion children in all other countries, well known as you know in the world. I put in a previous video for you to watch. You have to watch and keep watching. I did the work and I seen suffered in the world. But I wouldn't suffer seeing this if you actually did your job and the other and employed under you and you monitored supposed to them to do their job. They have the budgets, they have the contact information easily done right away, but they didn't do their job either and you didn't monitor follow up on this. 100 million people suffered. You know right to do and you know. You are morally responsible and you sinned against other human lives when you in your job description knew not to do. You told your employer that you're going to do everything in your power in your job description as President Biden, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, the Pope Francis, all the other world leaders. You know your names. So please, whoever sees this and get it to other world leaders too. And those other employed in the states under them, of the provinces of every country, to think of what your job is. That you're going to mainly affect people you employ under you, to follow up immediately on who do you employed and make sure they are doing their job, to care for the human and maneuver funding what their job is, for housing, for disability. Disability in every country is beyond horrendously underfunded. To think of this way, that if you are disabled and brain damaged, would need a basic shelter, food and water, enough to live with the basic necessities and a bit more to do something that brings joy to your life. For enough for clothing, close medical facilities, proper funding for transportation to these places or anywhere needed. Humans cannot work when disabled. We love to, most people do, are not lazy, but they cannot, beyond their control, have a damaged nerves, neck, spine, brain. This last, keep in mind, not a second. Some people are brain damage, injuries of brain, most cannot be healed. Maybe 100 after proper nutrition, some of them maybe slowly after years get improved. Human brain injuries, spine injury, in most cases cannot be healed. Humans are most people, there are blind people, deaf people, most illegally harmed, different ones, meant like myself, mental ward, didn't even have to be in mental ward. I was supposed to be in medical one. Illegally put because of the medical incompetence of these that they were hired and they didn't look into the prime minister, popes, and the world leaders. I'll look into the governing colleges that actually gave them the $1 million to these doctors. They knew to swore to God to help but didn't, to get rid of them, take away their license immediately, put in prison. This is the proper procedure by law. You are trained, you know how to do, but you didn't do. I suffered for years, needlessly. And I didn't even have to be there. I was against entirely and had no mental health concern to treat in any way, and millions still there. In Canada mainly, America, Mayo Clinic is putting misinformation online. These other clinics, CAMH entirely, Center for Addiction, Mental, and Emergency Room, I told everyone to stay away. Mount Sinai Hospital, inhumane. This, stay away entirely. Close it down. Temerity, whoever's doing this in Toronto, owns that. Don't put funding with CAMH, ECT clinics. Stay away. You're already doing something illegal, no, so you better stop it. This staff work there, they injured my brain and harmed illegally. The department heads too and everyone know in the world close every ECT clinic. Every staff, they cannot say they don't believe them if they do. Within means these humans know, they're educated for your study and parents help them, good role models know, but these humans swore oath to God and under law know to do right or they can't make it a paycheck. To help human physical health, mental health, all the staff of all job descriptions, anesthesiologists, physiologists, registered nurses, practical nurses, the psychiatrists mainly that prescribe this. There's the department heads. There's these are actual medical doctors too, psychiatrists. They're all incompetent medically. They know to the right but are not doing. They are not insane. By law, they know to the right to help human health. They studied specifically for this, swore to God, and told the employers that they were actually going to do the job to care for human health and never prescribe ECT. They never changed the name. I put a video recently. I lived through the side effects. I was illegally wrong. It is a horrendous torture procedure. This is not therapy. Even the name I put to change, but no one did it yet. This is beyond disrespect of human life. There's misinformation online for humans stating that is safe. That needs to be taken down. I put a previous video. No one acted upon it yet. It is supposed to be done immediately. ECT is electroconvulsive torture. It is not therapy. It is obviously not therapeutic, and whoever made this has therapy in the name, which is not therapy. It is obviously not beneficial to human health, brain health in any possible way. The long-lasting effects and the procedure itself is beyond harmful of disrespect of human dignity and life. Humans, all patients that are misinformed, humans have to consent by free will of choice to go through the procedure. But people like myself were illegally put on forms by these medically negligent, mostly psychiatrists, don't even know English, and I don't know how they cross the border. This is true. I'm an educated human. I know all humans and to respect all different races, humans, other countries, no. But this is Canada. These humans don't even speak English properly, are reading misinformation in journals well published in PubMed, well-known psychiatry journals working affiliated wrongly with the U of T psychiatry department. 100 of them. This is in Toronto alone. Other countries, mostly all the same. Australia mainly. The Mayo Clinic has lots of misinformation online, well known in the States. Those affiliated with Harvard, some of them. And the other ones in countries need to be looked into by the governing bodies. The Prime Minister, the President of the United States, Biden, the Pope, is not doing his job. Then whoever they hired under them to look in the moral ethics, the bioethics boards, whoever's working there is not doing their job in any way. They make the billions of dollars and people suffering like myself, 100 million in the entire world, in every country. Ill health, misdiagnosed, given as antipsychotics, this is a huge field. Bioethics, a respect of human life to ethically do to a human, another human life, human, animal, nature with the respect of their life. A human with a brain, emotions, physicality, a soul, to respect their life, what is ethically, morally right, to treat them with respect, to do. This is not done, but these humans study long years. And work making paychecks are a question. Are you gonna do your job? You study this. Are you gonna respect the ethics, bioethics, focus all the time on your job, and you have the budget resources to do, and you're gonna have 100 million people under you that are looking up to you for proper example? Are you gonna set a proper example? Are you gonna hire proper employees to do respect proper bioethics laws? Are you gonna work with the pharmaceutical companies and other ones to make sure you do right morally, ethically? You're gonna affect 100 million people lives in every country. If you're not going to do this, I cannot hire you. These are serious matters. These people are hired, or how humans hire them. They either incompetent or hired the other ones and then not followed up by the higher governing bodies or colleges and the prime minister himself and the president and the pope, Dalai Lama, other ones. Religious world leaders have big say in what the world leaders matters are to see morally, to make sure there's people to follow up in every industry, even music industry, everywhere, to make sure these pharmaceutical companies they're employed. Are you gonna do morally right? Are you gonna hire staff? Are you gonna put funding money that you have the budget for to provide funding and research, pharmaceutical things, and consider everything going on in the world to find proper medication, proper vaccines for humans? Respect the day as you want to be respected, a valuable life, that you want proper health and proper humans working there to help find proper medications for you safe. Are you going to do this? If not, I'm not going to hire you. By law and under God, you have to morally do right. Then no one follows up. These humans are illegally harming, and a million people suffer like myself, misdiagnosed and given these illegal antipsychotics. Everyone knows in the whole entire world, doctors, psychiatrists, even the caring ones. Nothing has been done to get rid of this in the world. This is a huge billion-dollar market, could be funded and give this money to the children that need to live and eat food. Versus torturing 100 million mind lives included and no DSP, disability money. In Ontario, Canada, this is not a land of opportunity. It is maybe safer than some countries to live, but these humans, in terms of wars and things, but there's no funding. These people, the better they have to smarten up or resign. Give the money back, their paycheck, do morally right, save their own souls as well on earth. Every human, keep in mind, is judged on earth immediately in their thoughts, actions, soul. They know morally brought up. Everyone knows the difference between right or wrong. They have no right to morally do wrong in themselves and definitely not to wrong another human. They cannot verbally abuse someone they know they don't deserve it. They cannot hire someone that's going to hire doctors under them that's not going to do their job, to hire proper staff and follow up to make sure they help people. If they're going to sign torture papers illegally to bodily harm someone so they have a paycheck client, such as myself, they cannot hire them. But they hire no follow-up, or mistake happen, but they don't follow up. It is their job. They're making the billions illegally, and the people would love to and have a job, or poor, would actually care and work in the college and hire someone and follow up, say, did they do their job right? See, put their security video everywhere. Hire security staff. Listen to this and act immediately. 100 million, most, not all, security staff are hired doing absolutely not what their job is. They're sleeping in front of the TVs there where the security room cameras are. The signal to the TVs there, doing absolutely nothing. To put them and inform them too, increase their job title capacity, or hire a medically competent staff member to sit and view this, to monitor once and as needed in itself what these doctors are doing. It is not patients that sometimes may be irate or something, have most proper reasons, but are mistreated in itself. There's humans, the doctors are very defensive. They know are morally harming patient like myself. But if a patient even tells those the truth, that say, and start yelling at them, say, I don't need this, they already press the button for code white, which means irate patient. and 2 security personnel come running. These are medically negligent staff, doctors themselves, and humans have rights, but are being mistreated there, and no one security actually standing there and say, look, the patient's right. She doesn't need clozapine. You're the one who's doing wrong. You're the doctor. You're doing obviously wrong. There's obviously a toddler can figure out if a human is standing there, a girl, and obviously is healthy and doesn't need clozapine to harm her brain, and she won't have children after because of hundreds of million side effects. But this studied doctors, medically negligent psychiatrists, and work there, and have this button there waiting and security running. Million times a day, other patients hear this crying. And humans there have no money, disability, $100 to last a month. They have the clothes on the back for 10 years. My situation, 20 years. Same jacket, same clothes, barely keep as best clean can. No money for clothing, no food extra that I could have had my own job, saved money throughout the years, hard but worked to have shelter, enough money, and for retirement these 2 decades after studying long elementary, high school, university for 20 years. Life sciences and would have done more to humanity, benefit on all sides. Research had ideas together with mine help on God's side, but it wasn't protect, unfortunately, on Earth. And I found every genetic disease, disorder, cure, vaccine imaginable for 20 years. But I was illegally wrong, my brain harmed. With dangerous antipsychotics, I didn't need it all, and endangered severely life, and I had no children because of it and homeless. For life in Canada is sub-zero temperatures, frostbite in a split second, and I'll damage organs and nowhere to live, no money ever to save, and years behind, never children. I lost my figure skating, studied for years skating all dances on ice competitions, and then I lost it all because of medically incompetent staff. They went happy to their families on the phone every day and night smiling, but they left me with no food and water, and I didn't need to be there. And blood clot dying could have helped me and let me go, medically, purposes, and I'm not suffering for years. And an ODSP given and no money for medical negligence. Lawyers and the colleges say they don't give money after they wrongly hired staff, which is beyond wrong. They have to turn their paycheck in and have to look in the president and prime ministers, and this is not only in Ontario. In Toronto, they did to me. Angelica Jikela Anderson Human lost a University of Toronto degree studies, brain damaged for years, illegally given one antipsychotic after another to see if the works doesn't need. They say I'm doing fantastic, then they prescribe the dangerous electroconvulsive therapy, ECT. Clearly not needed. Damage my health because I didn't have a mental health concern. Pushing as other patients there still under the form of saying is for schizophrenia, catatonic, for people separately, not me, but with depression. ECT is not for humans that are catatonic, clearly. It endangers their life. No human wants to hear of that. For depression, it is not beneficial for humans with depression. I studied all parts of the brain and my own side effect that I suffered when I don't have depression, but know what happened before, during, after the procedure. A human is more depressed, memory damage for life, and can work, and obviously more depressed for life. It is not beneficial to any human alive with depression. A human put to sleep and dehydrated with not enough electrolytes and nutrients that they need to help the brain normal dopamine, serotonin levels. Clearly, then and during this procedure and before, is not going to be helped with depression. These are basic human studies, even high school level, children can figure out. But these psychiatrists studied for years, and the higher governing colleges that hire these staff, and the prime minister popes, all of them not do their job, didn't rather. And me and myself suffered while they made the $1 billion. Over the years, one staff negligent made the 1 million a year, times another paycheck with U of T affiliated, and wronged my life for 20 years, times $2 million a year, and went on vacation, lived in luxury, went home. I don't know how he lives with himself, but to his wife, smiling. And children, did the children where they got the money harming my life and I have no children? When I put a phone call like this to them, they don't answer the phone. But when they call a patient me and have the nerve to call this human and to yell and be rude to a lady saying you need the treatment of what? Treatment, clozapine. This is not treatment. Treatment is to help human health medically, but the illegally prescribed prescriptions for human torture, which is bodily harm of the brain, mind, organs, a disrespect of human dignity of God, everyone knows by law, and is defined by imprisonment. These are humans morally have to be apologized to a human that wronged them, saying, I apologize, forgive me. Under God, these need to be rectified on earth too in that way. World leaders to formally apologize to those victims, put funding immediately, have to act. They sin against my life, not hiring proper staff, not following up. Then the medical colleges sin against my life, no right to do new. Made millions of dollars, could have hired someone and worked and did their job and follow, make sure the proper psychiatrists work there and let me go. And I don't even given a psychiatrist I don't need. Give me a medical doctor, say, look, she has a blood clot, prescribe if I needed a blood thinner proper, and let me go. Not put in mental ward in a place don't need because they want a patient with, and then no one's following up on this. And then there's the religious places. Angelique has human best interest in humanity's health, a humanitarian of all living creatures, affect one life another human, of all animals, of all nature, to respect. For all places of worship to be closed. All public malls with a lot of people to enter that are malls indoors from store to store be closed. As supposed to be still during COVID times. During COVID and variant strain times. During monkeypox times. These are dangerous, virulent viruses. To keep in mind, people suffer 2 weeks with respiratory ailments and other health concerns and die. There's other viruses going on in the world. Every other country, there are different strains with the people getting them from different countries, traveling to other countries, potentially spreading them. The people suffered and lost, like myself, even in month towards didn't eat and couldn't go outside. I speak from experience, and I was illegally put there. I don't want this to happen to anyone else. This is a horrendous, serious disrespect of a life human that had to be prevented by all the governing bodies, the governments, the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, previous ones that worked in previous years. They owe to my life apologies, formal apologies, and to all other patients. The President to those in the States, to all those who are in the other countries, the FDA. They are new, trained, and responsible to care for, respect my life of patients, potential patients, other people still there, such as CAMH, Center for Addiction and Mental Health. They're not promoting proper mental health care. Doctors, psychiatrists, all nurses, all of them, 100 except maybe 2 is true. Over 20 years. 100 million day and night. Excuse me. Sorry. It was a connection problem. Angelica Jacella, I'm telling all humans and the world leaders and the Pope to do your job, and to religious or not, out of respect of human lives, as well to do what you can to further prevent the spread of coronavirus and variant strains of it that are going on in the world. This virus rather has mutated. It has changed forms. There are no vaccines. There are no cures. There is the monkeypox, also a virus. There are other viruses, bacteria currently going on in the world. There are numerous pandemics in the world. It is unfortunate it's been going on too long because the governing bodies are not doing their part all the time to set a proper example. People are misled. This is entirely stores have to be fired. They know by law in the United States, Biden, Pope Francis, all other world leaders of all other countries. You have to please listen, do your job, follow up. A virus, think of it how you want to be treated. Virus, so you have the contact information, and under by law and under God, you are morally obligated to respect the health, dignity, and lives of the million people in your countries and the whole world. If you're not going to do this, resign. You already negatively rather affected the lives of many people because you didn't entirely do your job. You are morally responsible under God, religious or not, and by law. Have criminal charges against you. You have to rectify this and act now. Really do the right thing. And on earth and humans inform Pope Francis too, and world leaders, whoever hears this, other Secretary of State, other provincial governing body offices, other humans, archbishops, cardinals, vicar generals, Catholic head offices, Jewish ones, Buddhist, Presbyterian, Protestant. Do your job, act now. You haven't entirely done during the pandemics. You know how humans suffered during SARS. This is SARS-CoV-2. Humans, you have to respect as you want to be treated. You studied the years, your family raised you right as healthy to help you with studies, even financially, so you studied how to respect the people in your job description. 100 million people have suffered because you didn't do your job. You have to resign, give money to the victims. Act now or hire someone rather that will do their job, and million people will not suffer instantly and continue not to suffer. Ill health, catching a virus. You didn't promote preventing the spread at all costs. You didn't do your job. You have the phone numbers every day. Get up in the morning. Call these offices. What are your laws, restrictions? These are restrictions that these are lifted. You cannot lift them. It starts with the head governing bodies. Whoever lifted restrictions in such as Tim Hortons, for example as coffee shops, certain well-known stores in Canada, these humans are not doing their job and cannot hire any employees, have to close their places of work. They are not respecting not only the people they know of, and people gonna spread to other humans and lose parents and children with no family members to keep in mind. Loved pets, suffering 2 weeks, breathing problem, don't know what it is, don't have the intellectual reasoning ability to figure out what a virus, what it's suffering, to go get vaccines or anything, and die, and lose a parent of a dog, crying a child, saying my pet died, crying for life, a loved one, have no parents, the children, the animals have little infants, no one to feed, take care of them. It is a million seconds affect another life with no parents, crying for life, ill themselves because of the governing bodies not doing their job, then following up on who they employ, what they swore to God by law to do, but didn't put the funding for more research, proper ones, fire the ones that are not. It is common sense. It is a respect of everyone how they choose to be respected and have to do in their job descriptions, what they're hired for. To close St. Peter's Square entirely till all pandemics gone. It is a piece of land in front of the Vatican. It is a holy ground under God. No humans are allowed in this place to spread this virus. This is unethical, immoral, morally wrong on the part of Pope Francis to open this square, to speak things in his speeches, as I stated, about Spain. This Pope recent Benedict that died, and people went there, thousands spreading with no mask. He didn't tell, please wear a mask or stay home, and stay home. I will make a speech online, and millions will view. I will respect the health and dignity of all the parishioners, viewers in the world, religious or not. I will respect all animals by this, not spreading from humans to animals. Coronavirus, the different mutant strains of it. If it's not prevented from spreading, it will continuously spread. It will never leave the world. Humans do not have all vaccines, and people will suffer more and die out, and there'll be none. It is never return to what humans to live their happy lives as they deserve on Earth. Animals. These viruses, as viruses everyone knows, mutate. They change forms. That's why they have to be got rid of from the world immediately as soon as possible. Vaccines need to be found. There's a funding needed for the caring humans, intelligent humans. There's certain things I learned that even without but would give ideas to a research facility. There's even things that a child learned, but that could have figured out vaccines by now and over the years, but are not hired these staff that actually care with this knowledge that would already found these vaccines and 100 million people not suffering. By the governing bodies, not looking in, following up who they hired. They are morally obligated to do. They're responsible, Pope, President Biden, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, all world leaders. I am talking to you. I am a human being, humanitarian, a victim of your negligence in your job titles of many, many years, of many ways, in many ways, rather, also. And I've seen a million people in the world, it's clear, have suffered because you didn't do your job. Ill health, failing, lost loved ones, no disability money, a human brain damage. Myself have memory damage from electroconvulsive therapy, which is not therapy. I deem get rid of this term and have been active upon the world leaders and other credible doctors, psychiatrists to easily click online and get rid of from their sites. Mayo Clinic, other ones. There are many, and people view online. Keep in mind this in itself. Everything I speak is a carefully selectivized word with a meaning. Care from life experience. I was unfortunately illegally wronged and choose something and to what I learned, lived through to benefit, to prevent other humans from suffering. Everything that you do and the world leaders affects to keep in mind to listen. 100 million people. You know this. You already had a million people such as myself, you heard, and I have previous videos that you are morally obligated under God and by law have to hear. Listen to even every day to remind yourself what your actual job was and is. To prevent others from suffering what I suffered, you have no right to make me suffer. Medical negligence victim, no disability money after. When you harm, I right to have money after. No money for medical negligence lawyer, obviously, because I'm poor because he made me brain damage. With a psychiatrist and doctors, millions went and illegally harmed me for 20 years. And I couldn't skate, have joy in my life. Would I work as hard as child to pay for? 40,000 for U of T. I could have made research and done have my own car, a family, happy for years, and been one of the head researchers in the world, humanitarian, public figure. I could have been advisor to the Pope for years and it fixed many things that the Pope is not actually doing his job and had to do. And world leaders consulted for years. And there's been these videos I could have made for years and I put recently and have to be acted upon now. I put pins there on the Pinterest, cripple, but I made these myself. To what your jobs are, respect the dignity, post this everywhere, share to the world hasn't been done already. I did the work, but easily to this day's modern day, social media, put on Twitter, tweet, add me as a follower, please. I put the post there. All you have to do is click this, put it on you of the followers, what you're actually supposed to do your job in this. I put the pin I made. It summarizes what every employer dignity to respect. If you're not gonna hire someone to do their job to affect 100 million people properly, and they're gonna suffer, don't hire them. Don't give them the paycheck. If you're not doing your job, turn yourself in, resign. You have to give back your paycheck. Hire someone, give that money that will actually help people in that job title, doctor, president, the Pope. Put funding the presidents to the disabled, poor people right away, and the orphans. That keep in mind, think of what orphan means. An orphan has no parents. Millions seconds all their life, they don't have a caregiver. They need all those years to take care to adult age, even to provide funding, shelter, schooling, take them to school near a proper medical facility, money to live, to help guide them. They don't have this. They need to hire a caregiver, millions seconds, and you would want your children even basic necessities to provide to give them enough money for this. There are billions of children alone even beyond already need happiness more and put to Disneyland essentially there, created even there. A paradise for these children. They already suffered through natural disasters, left under rubble. The earthquake, to think about what it is. The buildings crumbled when the earth shook that no human should live through. People trapped under stones, bleeding, children cannot get out, need humans to help them when get out and cared for medical facilities. Most of these places are poor in themselves, so the other countries with the more money to maneuver their phone calls, cell phone call, put money in their account, other country help right away. It dumb down for you. If you want, I will make another video to dumb down for you intelligent humans that are disrespecting humans' lives in the world. Please let me know. I surely won't mind. That what even a toddler knows to respect a human life. There are even animals that care. They have more kind-hearted souls of them all than any of the world leaders. Would probably do a better job at running the countries and than the Pope and all world current leaders in previous hundreds of years in every country. A dog would common sense and save a child's life right away, and it doesn't have even the moral, other further education, reasoning abilities to further act, but would care enough in his life to know that a child is there alone and would never leave it alone. An orphan would stay by its side. A nice dog is true. A horse going by would see a child crying, would stay near and take care of it. Sit near to keep it warm. But you heartless, in their job descriptions, Pope Francis, recent Pope Benedict, previous popes, President Biden, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, all other world leaders. You left the children suffering. You funded the planes that harmed the hearing. Needlessly doesn't have to go travel to other summits. You didn't stay in your countries to prevent the spread of coronavirus and variant strains, as you know and had to do, from other 100 million people and animals getting it. You put the money into police officer cruisers that drive around in $1 million each vehicle, heated, two humans driving around to go keep the peace when they'll need and gas money polluting the environment. 100 million in Ontario and Canada alone is true. But you give no money to the disabled and orphans. That is your job main concern. To provide proper homes, enough money for those that cannot afford to work themselves, obviously, milliseconds that they need this financial help from your budget. To take this money, put in account where the budget money you have, world leaders, take money, phone call, make to humans, other country, this is your own country, to that office where the money need, put money in account now, or resign now. Every second counts in human life suffering right now because of you. Health failing, children alone crying. By law, but don't even have lawyers there, but are human beings with a life. Disabled people such as myself because of your incompetence in your jobs. In many ways, is true. I have the medical records and others to prove 100 million for 20 years. I've seen online suffered because you didn't do your job as well. But seen other humans suffered what you left them suffering, what you have no right to do, and then you know in your job's not to do that. Your job is the opposite, to make sure no human suffers in any way that you don't want to suffer. Homelessness, without enough water, clean, without enough food, to essentially even live. To be sheltered from half the world, to think milliseconds is cold. Half the world, mainly Canada, States, other Russia, some countries, cold. 100 milliseconds, they need a house with heater, basic shelter, food, 3 meals a day, water, a basic liter bottle a day and night for 24 hours. Funding for this money in your budget put to disabled that can work, would love to work, but even you, most are victims of different things beyond our control that most governing bodies could have prevented, but didn't, are morally responsible to put this funding even more and their own paychecks into it, to morally right, do, and rectify this on the earth. Or have to do and act on this earth. They cannot, you and all world leaders and Pope sin against another human life by not entirely doing your jobs. You don't want to be sinned against and left homeless with not enough proper medical care, with not enough food and water, basically even nutritious enough for the basic to cover what humans need to live, to function, with enough food to digest, for glucose to think, to move their muscles, enough electrolytes, proteins to move muscles, to think, proper vitamin, food, proper, you have to maneuver, do your job, maneuver funding. You have the money. Take your previous paycheck, look into the other world leaders previously did. They cannot get away with it. They don't. By law and under God. Religious or not, and under Jesus, everyone knows to morally do right. Religious or not, he suffered, died, went to heaven. No one gets away with morally doing wrong out of respect of Jesus on the earth, are judged immediately in their brain, mind, soul, recorded every day and night while alive. Every second human is judged. They know to morally do right, and if they act wrong, they cannot. They have no right to disrespect another human life, and health, and the world leaders in previous dared 100 million lives. Have to really, on the part of the previous world leaders, whoever hired them as well, turn in your paychecks, resign. You didn't do your job entirely. Put formal rather apologies from the heart and sincerely mean it to all you wronged. That you knew on the earth to do right in your job description, or don't even do the job and make sure they hired someone who would. To put the funding that they have in the budgets to the disabled, especially if they hired medically incompetent staff to wrong a human mind and didn't even need to be harmed that way, with dangerous antipsychotics that had to be clearly kept from the world in the first place. It is common sense in these things. It is simple that what you already know trained in job descriptions to morally do right but did not. I suffered ill health for years and never gonna have chance to buy a home, save up after lost 20 years, mean after studied elementary 100 days when I called to school, elementary built on knowledge, algebra, geometry, calculus, and built on university. This is a year then I left brain damage right before last exam because of medically incompetent staff and lost 20 years of studies. Brain damage. No children due to side effects, no housing to save up what I would do a huge part in the world more than any of you did in your job titles and as a human on earth, and would have helped you too and all previous world and pope leaders. You left one, it is a value of one human as some humans have gifts more than others and have would study to learn even as children and are less suffering in places such as like CAMH that would help already benefit the lives of 100 million care, even donation, doing work over lives more than any, but couldn't accomplish this on the earth because of you. 100 million lives suffer to think of this way because I, for example, a human, couldn't do my research that I actually care and had knowledge to accomplish and would have cures, vaccines for 100 million different things for over 20 years. I couldn't do because of brain damage because you didn't do your jobs to hire proper psychiatrists, doctors, nurses, over 1 to 200 over 20 years in CAMH alone, in Mount Sinai Hospital in Toronto, and the governing colleges that hired them, and then don't provide any proper medical negligence lawyers to afford to pay right away, could have got out of it, win a multi-million-dollar lawsuit to sue for punitive damage at rights. I can afford this, is not covered in Ontario, but every other type of case is. To change this in the world, you have to act now. There's a million people like that would sue and get out of this what their doctors are doing wrong and don't have no right to do to these patients, and then they have no disability money, which is not allowed. They're illegally wronged by the head office is not doing their job to hire proper staff. And then a million people suffering still is true. You have to go down, even get an uncovered or send a representative rather safer, whoever knows on the right side, a medically competent doctor, representative, go to CAMH and see who's working there. Then you obviously, they're gonna see how they're not respecting you even when you enter and close the doors. You don't want to be disrespected this way, and you're responsible in your job to make sure they hire proper caring staff. It is a medical doctor, it is a psychiatrist. These humans have to care for the human brain and the physical health of a human, are hired and making millions for harming people. This money is intended to give to humans that care to help human health. This is not checked up or followed up on the earth by 100 million governing colleges that give the licenses to these doctors. The College of Nurses of Ontario, for example, I dealt with alone 100 to 200 medically negligent all types of nurses, practical nurses, registered nurses, and over 20 years myself. That I even legally told not to even deal with, chose to not to deal with because they're incompetent. Disrespectful, rude, planning lunch breaks all the time, never cared to even help the doctors when I tell and follow up right away to do anything, to get more supplements, inform the doctor that I need to see them. They did absolutely nothing and made billions of dollars over years. And I have nothing rectified because I can't afford a medical negligence lawyer. And it would have went easily and right to put them in prisons, have my day in court. And there's 100 million, unfortunately, people I at least care, and I'm telling truth, that are still suffering there. You can clearly enter and see, and right away see that they're mistreating people, but you haven't followed up and done this. And as I stated, I'm giving you ideas, what I lived through beyond wrong, that you have to act upon, morally do right out of respect of my life. And I'll save immediately. If you act now, you will save. Every second counts. Hire investigators, medical, competent doctors, nursing staff, see, assess what they're doing not in their job description by law under God, and fire them. Take away by law, their entire paycheck, as long as they look into their files that they weren't helping human health, they intentionally and bodily harm, did illegal research against human freedom of choice on me, pushing pills, ECT, illegally put in their journals, stating that they did it properly on patients when they didn't. This hasn't been monitored, done for years. I don't want any more humans to suffer. And whoever, as I stated, as I mandated, please watch the videos. As I stated, I am a human. I am an earth angel also. It is true, under God. I have a high celestial ranking, higher than archangels on this earth. A humanitarian, to prevent the health failing and suffering of all. I already mandated this in the world, and I'm a public figure, and it has to be respected for all world leaders and the Pope to listen. This is already spoken, effective immediately when I speak this, and no one can disrespect what I say. This is me, a humanitarian, an earth angel, under God, in respect of Jesus, morally, and the Holy Spirit, from my own heart and soul, a horrendous victim of it all, seen it all, educated well in universe. For millions of years, I have seen, learned the different history over time. Ethics of all kinds, life science of all fields, medical all knowledge. Research oriented to prevent the health failing and suffering of all animals, humans, and nature. To save whatever left immediately, to act every second counts of humans, animals, and nature that have been unfortunately suffering because of not everyone doing their all in their job description. They have the financial and other contact information resources to do that they are trained to do. And the Pope to close all places of worship. Hear this: all places of worship are inhumane. When they are not have enough, such as Catholic churches, I know from experience, if they're not heated, well circulated air in the first place, they cannot have doors opened. They are out of respect of human life and health. There are public health and safety boards, humans employed, and ask, are you going to do your job? To look into these different buildings if they're proper for humans to enter, to do their jobs, give someone the employing, giving their money. If they are not, they cannot give them the paycheck and cannot hire that human. They're not following up. If they hired that human, thought it was best that they're going to help humans look into these places if they're humane, if they can be entered by humans, assess if they have rodents or not, follow up. Humans, any building, medical or not, cannot have rodents in them, that they don't know where they came from, because it is well known they spread bacteria, viruses from who knows where. This is in all countries, is not followed up. Not everyone doing all their jobs. They are morally responsible. No one gets away on earth, but they have to physically act, priests 2, ministers 100 million in the world, Catholic, Protestant, Presbyterian, Muslim, Islamic. The Pope, Pope Francis, Dalai Lama. Act now. World leaders, you help. Tell Pope Francis, whoever hears this. Act now. I told already. Watch the videos, take time. Some are a bit lengthier, but that's all I can do. Watch half a time, then watch the other half. It's not that actually long, but rested. Be, please, well rested. Take the time to hear everything, write notes. This is what your actual jobs are. I'm a victim of everything that it was beyond my control, rather, as well. That I wouldn't suffer if you all did your jobs. For all you now to listen, to close all places of worship. These are places of worship, people keep in mind, traveled on Sundays as a day of rest. According to God, is actually when God rested is a day of rest, not a day of worship. Humans are not required to worship God on Sunday when it is a day of rest. A week, humans already poor in most countries, too cold to warm, strain their health as it is, working essentially to survive, money make rather to survive. Studies take a lot out of human and work. Everyone knows a weekend is to rest before another long school or work week. Humans have to rest. Humans have to sleep. Under God and on earth, common sense and all humans, religious or not, no. Sunday and all Christian religions mostly Sunday is a day of rest. God created the universe and himself, he even rested on Sunday. It is a day of rest. Some religions, Christian ones, have Saturday, either way, but it's a weekend, or Saturday and Sunday, humans have to rest. It is a day of rest. No one is required to worship God, Jesus, Holy Spirit on a day of rest. They never appeared. I already went to churches, and I was a Catholic, and seen other different religions. They never appeared, even in my situation, had to protect me on the earth more than any human alive in my matters. But they didn't, and on holy grounds. And a human was suffering, traveling too cold on a day when I need to sleep in a sleep rather. A child growing, keep in mind, old people are old, cannot heal themselves, need to rest. Sunday, rest, sleep. Stay home where it's warm and safe. Every country, other countries too hot to prevent spread of bacteria and virus too. Don't dehydrate themselves. You have the Twitter, the accounts. Put this on every day as needed till everyone really knows, and you have the million viewers tuning in. I don't have it. You can add. Please add me. I told us followers to add to me. Angelica Jaquela, Earth Angel. The pins there. Other things. Is it to a world leader? As a world leaders. Sorry. Rather, world leaders and the Pope. To please add as followers to Angelica Jaquela, Earth Angel. See what I type post there. Put the videos to on your followers. These are out of the best interest of humanity, I'm sure, and every human alive wants to see this. I have a right to be informed about these matters. I respect their own health, dignity, and I would love to tell to share to other humans to act now. I respect their lives affect all others immediately, all animals, all living creatures, nature, to close all malls, indoor ones, to while this pandemic is going on. This unfortunately, this whoever to look into, as I stated, there are restrictions that were lifted. I don't know who did this, are legally acting not in the best interest of humanity. There's going to be more spread of the virus and the other ones, coronavirus variant strains that changed forms, what are no vaccines for, monkeypox, other viruses going on in the world. Children will never be able to socialize, go to school ever again, keep in mind, and play in animals without masks that can breathe in air if the spread of the virus is not prevented. The governing bodies still have to do their job. Online viewers, keep in mind, monitor online videos, put more World Health ones, putting specific up-to-date information. They have the million billion viewers. They tune in every day. TV channels. Humans look up to these world leaders. They expect that they're doing right in their job description, what they're trained to do. They're not entirely doing their job. People are misled, not wearing masks, places lifting restrictions so they don't have to wear masks. Some places, all coffee shops, said it close all dining areas. People are being let in with no screening for even 3 or 4 booster shot vaccination. Even then, I told to warn humans to keep in mind this exact information. For all world leaders and Pope to tell people, if you have a 3 or 4 booster shot vaccination against COVID and a variant specific strain, it doesn't mean you won't get another virus, the coronavirus variant strain. You still might become ill from a different mutant variant strain of coronavirus. Even people with masks. That's why they have to stay 2 meters away, even with masks. Because they breathe on the side of their mouths, the air is escaping, and the droplets and then the virus in it breathe out if they have it will spread on the sides to others. So they have to keep practicing enforcing social distancing. This is not even, there's no signs on any stores almost left in the coffee shops, and people entering, keep in mind to close all, that's why cafeterias and schools close all schools. Still are supposed to be closed, especially children's schools, high schools, universities, all public places, dining areas where they're going to eat food. They're going to have snacks to monitor the children, not to share the snacks. They're going to breathe air are sitting children, humans, in coffee shops such as Tim Hortons. People let in with not even vaccination. They have the papers these days are not screened. Not entering with masks, eating and conversing with one another, even children, for up to an hour at a time. Less than half a meter away. This is the humans disheartening to see when the children even don't even care enough to tell them, the parents and those working there have masks someplace food places, but they do not tell their patrons, customers. And I asked them, they told me to direct to the head office. Head office rules. They don't have to tell, I told you work there, tell out of respect of the patrons, the customers say at Tim Hortons that to wear a mask, and you're sitting less than half a meter away, the child even, to tell them to put a mask on or leave to prevent the spread of this virus from spreading to other humans, to animals, and they'll never leave the world. After so many years, people tired and job lost and animals, they had respect of life. They didn't do anything in this place, said direct at the main office. It is almost impossible to get contact information for me, as everyone knows, a lay person, to the head offices, which is beyond wrong. I did do my part and chose to contact them. It is almost impossible for an intelligent, educated human to find their office numbers. That is why it is the head government bodies, Pope, to look in. You have the resources from the above for these main restaurants, coffee shops, Starbucks, Tim Hortons, billions of them in the world. Make sure to have investigators immediately. Every second count. It has been done in past 4 years, all times. Other main stores, shoppers, for example, sometimes, some cities, other ones, Walmart. They did the part early on, even putting humans to put the hand sanitizer, but they could inform people more that humans wash their hands with the soap and water. Does more to kill the virus and wash down the drain to get rid of it than to hand sanitize their hands. It doesn't kill entirely the virus. But did people their parts to have people working there to sanitize hands? But I've heard and people going these places, well known, with no masks. The humans working there are the managers state to wear masks to prevent the spread, but the people are entering and are not wearing the masks. The managers, by law and under God, know they cannot do this, are opening the doors. 100 million people are going to spread and they'll change mutated forms. This virus, as you know, as stated, is dangerous because it'll change forms and there'll be no vaccine. Unless someone makes, and there hasn't been one. And the people suffer 2 long weeks, keep in mind, and die. Lose parents, no job to take care of children for 20 years till adult, even no animals, have no caregivers to give them food and water to buy to children. You don't want to live through this. You haven't been monitoring this. Is disheartening. All world athlete leaders are not in NHL is going on right now with not allowed to do. Are skating there with no masks. A whole team is endangering their lives and they fly to who knows what other country from other countries, say to states to US, say Toronto Maple Leafs to the other play a team in the US, and every country has different strains of the virus. These athletes are not setting a proper example to the world. They are potentially spreading this virus, coronavirus, and variant strains to millions of people, and animals' lives will be lost, and they know morally not to disrespect their own health and dignity and have no right to disrespect 100 million viewers that look up to them as humans that are well-known athletes, are to set a proper example even by wearing masks, to not play hockey there till the stray virus is gone. They are already socializing. They are playing hockey, coming too close to other players, even with masks on. They're even with their helmets on, but this doesn't protect them from the virus itself. They're endangering their own lives. They might get the virus itself or a different mutant strain of it, monkeypox. Other ones give it to another player, breathe it out. They're coming too close, less than 2 meters away, with no masks. In a building where it's cold, where the virus spreads even faster. In arenas, and then they play other teams from, as I stated, the states, travel planes there, crossing borders, endangering lives. The whole NHL cannot go on doing what they're doing. The NBA, if they're doing any other teams going on professional at the time, and other different lower levels of teams. Humans doing their part for years, and this virus has been going on too long that it mutated forms because not all humans continue to do their part and were leaders to prevent its spreading. It is not worth humans making the $1 million to have an NHL game and those going along with advertising and putting online these games to have endangered the lives of 100 million and keep spreading this virus the longer it stays on the world. They are morally responsible if they get a virus and spread to other countries that doesn't have vaccines for it, and children, a dog lost a life is a soul, and a mother of a little puppy can't take care of it, a child parent for life. Another human, they don't want their parents to think of it being sick with a virus 2 weeks and die, but are endangering their own lives. They might lose a wife. If they catch the virus, give to her, they don't want, but not thinking of this. And spreading to other people, traveling between countries, Canada to the States, to play a game. They and humans doing their part, even closed gyms, public places, avoiding did their part. People don't have enough jobs. This is already gone too long. Others suffer. They have no right to endanger other lives. Under God, they don't get away. If they're playing a game to make their paycheck and $1 million, they have to give it back. They cannot be hired. Whoever's hiring the NHL players, make sure that they don't play any games during COVID going on till it's gone entirely from the world. Protect, respect the lives of themselves. Dignity of their own health belongs to God, as a valuable life that human has. This dignity to respect their own health. Their mother, keep in mind, raised them kept them in the womb healthy, raised them best they can, treated them, taught them good morals to do morally right, and don't play any NHL games. Respect the other players, their health, their lives, to prevent it from them suffering, getting coronavirus. Variant strains, 2 weeks suffer respiratory fevers, 2 long weeks and die. And then potentially pets it transfers to, they don't have the reasoning ability stated in their brain to figure out what a virus is, to get medical advice. Need more research, put funding, actually humans that care. Keep in mind each animal has their different species of each animal, needs different vaccines. The current mRNA vaccines, this is research that needed to be done, funded more, done early on. This has not been done. This virus alone, there's researchers, humans in the world, that common sense, even at high school basic, even to university level, could have found vaccines already by now and saved the lives of 100 million people, prevent them from suffering. But they're not hiring these kind-hearted people. They would at least do a job on people not suffering. The humans have hired these ones that are not doing entirely their job. They're doing research on something beyond wrong that they're not allowed to do, endangering the lives of people and itself more, and animals. And the world leaders not looking into this. And those that they employed under them and know by law and under God to do. So you have to act now. When you act now, you save the lives of a million people and prevent the spread even more. Fire all those and look into first what they did wrong and then their jobs in previous years too. They have to work off, if they spend the money too, what they made, that they were supposed to help humans, and give it back by law, and current world leaders. You cannot make your paycheck if you're harming someone, if your paycheck is intended to help billion people. And the Pope. Close all public places where there's going to be more than one person walking there, and make sure there's proof of vaccination, and in every place to put a sign, and on Twitter every world leader and Pope right now, and keep putting there is your job. As long as the virus is there, people need reminders. Most people know, but a lot of people don't even know these things and would love to know and right to know. Still, unfortunately, 100 million people are not educated in these matters, don't even know what a virus is. They don't know what vaccines are. There's been put some online. Even for myself, an intelligent human had a hard time finding online proper information, even on the World Health Organization website. Up to date what masks are. There's a lot of wording. I summarized myself, what I suffered, different things seeing on the world, and put the little pins myself to summarize on Pinterest. So all you put on Twitter for humans to the followers, the world leaders, and Pope especially of the billion viewers. Put these little pins. I did the work. Click the link and share it to millions. That's what it's for. Is a basic information what to look for on the masks, what retailers. Please see the other videos. You can watch it as much as it is your job, actually, what you're supposed to do. And I summarize it for you. If you did your job, I wouldn't be suffering looking for masks. Would be already provided funding for them. Would be easy to find online. My heart wouldn't fail strain. I may have been educated, as stated. Other humans are not suffering this way, getting still wrong masks sold there, fake ones, not properly certified. All the blurred out images of what the expiry dates and things are. Amazon, for example, other ones still going on in the world. You could hire people to put one mask sold and for free maneuver funding immediately. There's a hospitals giving out masks, people enter for free. This has to be given funding for all humans. Find one proper N95 mask, sell it to give it to all people rather, with the budget you have to prevent the health failing of humans. Put our clinic doctor one where they can access or order it safely, sanitized, and humans will get it for free. Human is not required or the poor in no jobs to work for a mask that they already have funding for and are required by job under their job description by law and under God to put the budget money to these accounts to fund this, to give to people a free mask, to care for that, to respect their health, to prevent their health from failing, to prevent them from getting coronavirus that will make them suffer 2 weeks and die, to do everything in their job description to prevent the spread, for in the present toward the future, to all humans, to all animals that have respiratory tracts. If it's not prevented spreading, the viruses change forms, mutate. They will never leave. People will become more ill. There'll be never enough jobs restored. People going to malls, stores will keep malls closed. The economy will fail. Children will never socialize. Already suffered for years this way, talking to dogs without a mask. People can't exercise without a mask. Near other people, do gym, something happy, exercise groups they cannot do, have to wear a mask, stay home, isolated, prevent the spread. People did their part, people being negligent beyond words now. Restrictions have to be kept enforced. Tell everyone to keep doing your job online. Tell the Pope to wear a mask or really leave. Take away his paycheck. Take his money and the Vatican close entirely. They haven't, and all the archbishops, cardinals, and they're under God morally obligated clearly to do. Vicar generals close that whole place, turn it into some medical caring land, place, facility for humans out of respect of God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit after many years. Take all the previous popes and that pope's paycheck for the part that they didn't do their job, give it and make it, put a Disneyland in Africa to those children. Condominiums, fully air conditioned, proper temperatures for children to live, housing up the wazoo. In essence, that they deserve not to suffer. Humans, I don't even know how they live with the bacteria and water. Some people even cared, find way to maneuver, risk their life to go get places to make water there. But this is the funding. Keep in mind, people donating when they're poor, that the underfunded governments not giving their money for basic job that they are supposed to, especially COVID times, have budgets to do. No more funding police useless $1 million cruisers. Take whatever they funded there, cut it down. Take the money, take the $1 billion jet money. They don't need to spend it. Apologize, give to the children, the disabled, anyone you victim wrong that you didn't do in your job descriptions. Act immediately, put a formal apology. Ask formally hurt, and we have to mean it, what you didn't do in your job, and you saw a child and apologize to them saying, I'm sorry I didn't give the budget, so you were left alone in the rubble. I'm sorry you spent that many hours without breakfast. It was my job under God and by law to give up my budgets to give you. I'm sorry. With obviously tears in your eyes and heartfelt apologize, say here's the money funding clearly and more, as if he would sue for punitive damages, emotional distress, a child left alone when you had money. These are children, all humans in Africa and less fortunate countries. By law, in Canada, states, anywhere we're not doing their job, have rights, human rights, ethics rights, freedom of choice. Humans were disrespected, their dignity, not to have provided proper shelter by the governing governments of the countries, the other more governments with more money to help the less fortunate countries have the budgets, have to do. By law under God didn't. Put the funding, take away your own paychecks, what part you didn't do, give to the victims. You have to morally do right and rectify this immediately on earth. It has been going on too many years, for hundreds of years. All the governing and the pharmaceutical companies looked into immediately by the Pope. And now those under find immediately those world leaders that have the contact, the resources and department heads that deal with this subject. Everyone has to act now. Every second counts that when you act now will save and you affect 100 million people's lives. They will be healthy and happy as they are to be respected and their dignity as you want to be. Children's lives will drastically be improved and go to Africa, send rather whoever say working their connections, this COVID times, other strains to have humans trained there to government and they live in basic as anyone can see a house made out of maybe some cardboard, some leaves, a little room and walk outside and nothing to do. Would love to work. Are humans with a life like you? Children, bright futures. Did you see the kind heart of them all? They want someone to take care of them. They stare with 20 children of all ages with no parents they lost, already crying for that alone. They have no school. They want school supplies to write a pen, to do something. They have nothing. They don't have a soccer ball. Children require things to play, to be happy, food, a bottle of baby formula, even every breakfast, lunch, dinner throughout the day, night, and to care day and night, monitored by a parent, even till 1 year old and 2 years old. They don't have even one bottle, and that's 365 days a year since they're born a baby, growing your cells till even 1 year old, and then toddler to walk. They don't have one bottle of baby formula, no diapers, and the clothing to take care of them. They have one clothing if someone finds them to even they're poor can afford but help some way. But if they do, a little baby is left in rubble. The parents died from HIV, different pandemics, SARS. What they prevented would the world leaders had funding to do didn't. And other reasons, though some medically, some humans stupid beyond words. This is not stupid, this is beyond wrong. Humans not doing their part, and needlessly humans have spread viruses too. But this is the budgets you have. This is the money that it causes humans to be healthy and happy and to have enough shelter, water, and food to be maneuvered immediately with phone call to office, to Africa, to orphanage, have the numbers, give them, they buy the food even right away now, and children have meals. And the water, in a say example, not to state names, but as seen Walmart, for example, my sells cases of water, 10 to 20 bottles each plastic bottle of water clean for approximately $1.97. And the children in these countries don't have any water. Take phone call, countries even closer to there or Walmart, make sure properly sanitize, phone call or find ways to create a proper pipe there, drainage to a building with enough water resource center, and ship there if needed. Case plain water. Make sure don't spread coronavirus, and the children have water. The body is made of over 70% water. The cells, like you. World leaders, Pope. Keep in mind, humans need water. Drink one bottle every breakfast, lunch, throughout day, liter a day. Children, none. Water. No water because give money for them to have water. That you want water, you give to your children. They don't have water because the parents died. The natural disaster, you didn't prevent something entirely in the countries. You had money to do, so take your money that you didn't do your job and apologize, give to them and give them any paradise they choose by law, they could sue for punitive damages, emotional distress, left alone by those in world leaders that didn't give them money to take care of basic necessities, to find foster parents, proper ones that they get along with, and any education that they need, money to survive, nice beds for the night. Keep away from mosquitoes. No child likes mosquitoes. There are millions of mosquitoes, bugs in warm climate countries. In Africa, 100 million people, 2 billion in other poorer countries too. Orphans, humans have mosquito bites. They have fevers. They don't have a basic Tylenol. They don't have vaccines that are 100 million people, but they have a right to have. Maneuvered right away. Whoever made the billions wrong humans in the paycheck couldn't, give your money back to the victims. By law, turn yourself into prison. You have criminal charges. You disrespected the lives of other humans you knew no right to do and didn't put funding for them to live. When every second that these humans suffered with no food and shelter, freezing and ill, you didn't provide the masks you had resources in your job to do, and they potentially got ill virus, you owe them money. They sue have rights for punitive damages, a valuable life, disrespected dignity by those who chose to do the job but didn't put the funding there. President Biden, previous ones, if they did in their job, the president of other countries, presidents of other countries rather, the prime minister Justin Trudeau, depending what jobs he did or didn't do entirely in his job, and all the world leaders, and Pope Francis and other world religious leaders. These are other the main ones, in the countries of all countries: Germany, Poland, Africa, Italy, Germany, France, England. You have the billions of dollars. Is your job in here to put this money to the orphans? Help those in the less fortunate countries. They have a life that you want to respect it for as many years they need raised to adult and funding so they have a job. They are humans like you, and you have the money your job to do. You didn't do, give your money part back paycheck to them, apologize and mean from the heart soul. You are judged by God and Jesus no right to sin against children. Other humans, medical negligence victims such as myself, you had your job resources, you trained, but you didn't do it. You have to formally apologize, give back parts of your paycheck that you didn't do your job and resulted in harm, not helping humans, respecting dignity, rights, emotional treatment of humans with respect, such as myself, a human woman, yelled at by medical staff to take treatments which is not treatment, is illegal torture. Didn't deserve to be mistreated this way if you hired proper staff to look into this. The colleges fire investigate for a year and a half after a whole time it takes not, and they're doing after a human victim needs it rectified right away. And other million people are still suffering there illegally in CAMH, Mount Sinai Hospital in Toronto currently, because you're not doing your job. 100 million people in the world, in America, look into this. This is close all ECT clinics, close all places of worship. These are not places of worship. These are inhumane places when they're not in proper temperatures. For the priest, minister, pope, work on this act immediately during COVID times, especially start now because of that alone. Prevent the spread. No holy water allowed in entrance in any church. It has to be not put there to prevent the spread, covered up, whatever's there. If it's not sanitized, get rid of it, sanitize, entirely gone. There are no holy powers on the earth as well. Unfortunately, on these churches, it is no use for any human to endanger the lives and of others and animals during these pandemic times to in respect of human lives to put this information act now and save the lives of 100 million people and health from suffering. What you're supposed to be doing. All Jewish synagogues, Protestant places of worship buildings, Presbyterian, all Buddhist temples, all the other places of worship, Catholic churches entirely. Most too cold, as I live from experience, they're not even to travel human too cold and then go upstairs is inhumane for a human disrespect of life to walk upstairs with no calories left to move the legs. And too cold temperatures are too warm in the world. These are not places of worship. Whoever started this was wrong, disrespected humanity for 100 million years. It is unfortunate that the popes didn't look into this for years and actually stated this. But I do. I am a human being with high authority. Under God, outrank the pope. I am a human earth angel, as I stated, public figure and humanitarian. An earth angel I am, with a high celestial ranking above all archangels in heaven, but as a human on earth, from my own heart and soul, telling this, every information stated in this video to be heard is effective immediately on earth by all world leaders and Pope. I do not unfortunately have the contact information, but tried to reach over the past years the popes and world leaders, but it never replied. and contact information is not easy to find, even though I'm an intelligent human, which is beyond wrong and needs to be. I love to speak to all world leaders myself. And I already stated in essence what exactly they had to do for years and fix in a previous few videos on Angelica Jaquela, Earth Angel YouTube channel. I have an Earth Angel Help website, one of the wx.com websites I created myself, beyond disabled but made, to help prevent this felt failing of 100 million people and got rid of the old Catholic masses that are harmful to human health and no longer allowed to be practiced anywhere in the world ever. And all physical kneeling is gone, never allowed to be practiced by any human alive. Catholics, out of respect of their health and a respect by God and Jesus to keep in mind, and all in heaven, never require a human to physically kneel. Keep in mind, it's Lenten season, all humans stay home. All world leaders and Pope tell this on your Twitter site news right away. Channels keep saying it. Tell everyone informed and practices. Inform all archbishop, archdiocese to tell all the parish website to put online immediately. All places worship closed, deemed inhumane, and properly not in normal temperatures is not easily accessible most places anyway, and to prevent the spread of coronavirus and variant strains. All religious physical practices when humans travel to close on a day of rest, not a day of worship, are deemed gone. No one is allowed to put their hands together, palms to pray. They never required to do by God. This is to save the children health and 100 billion people. I know from experience my harm health and never result from anything and never required by God or anyone in heaven for humans to put their palms together to hold a rosary. To make the sign of the cross, squishing the nerves, damaging, overstretching, crossing the center of a human physicality to put their hand to the other shoulder is deemed harmful to human health and not allowed. Out of respect of a human's own life, of children, and every human alive. To inform is your job, with Pope and all world leaders too. You have resources. Religious or not, please help. Use your own kindness of your own heart soul, perform a merciful act. It is highly valued by heaven when you selflessly, without expecting anything in return, prevent the health failing of 100 million people. Post online, their social media, you have the viewers, followers, I don't. Please add mine to the sites and let other people know, and then they can gladly freely see what site I made to replace the old mass, useless, harmful to health mass, Catholic mass entirely gone. Will never harm the million children, humans' lives ever again. And health, no one will suffer uselessly traveling cold to warm on Sunday before a school and work week, and then sit there falling asleep in too cold temperatures, spreading viruses, bacteria, disgusting, putting hands in holy water, not needed at all. Making signs of the cross, squishing, overstretching arms, especially children growing need to rest, never harm their health. When they already traveled, got a virus, flew on the way, and needlessly got ill. They didn't have to go to church then. They could stay home and pray in the soul shortly to God. Thank if they have a nice week. To Jesus say, I respect you, Jesus. Think once morally if I did right or wrong. That's it. That's all humans have to do. Religious or not, safety of their own home. The human health as God and Jesus, Holy Spirit state, for all religious or not, is more important. When a human is healthy, they are happy. They cannot heal anything. It is most important to the heavens and to humans. Then a human is healthy, they can accomplish what they can do happy in their life and to help others. Physical health, then spiritual to help others use their gifts, either of spirit, these virtues, recording humans by free of choice, selflessly. They don't expect reward, obviously, but intend to prevent someone from suffering, to help homelessness, to prevent it, help them. This is the job of the world leaders, to prevent the suffering that they were supposed to do of humans by using their budgets to make sure humans don't suffer. The main homelessness, to have the basic necessities of life, peace, make sure there are no war-torn countries, enough food, clothing, shelter, The basic to perform now have to acts of mercy, morally obligated to rectify on earth what they didn't do entirely in their job description, and by law and under God. If mercy is a kindness and compassion, the virtue of to use a gift and the spirit to help relieve, prevent the suffering of someone. You already did something to make someone suffer, and then not entirely in your job description you didn't do. And the orphans say no parents and no funding, but you had your job to do. Then you really have to use your money that you made and the money you have in budget to rectify this from the heart, a merciful act to rectify what you didn't do that you were supposed to prevent them from suffering. Homelessness, without shelter, without a parent, without enough food and water. You were morally obligated by your job to care. Respect their healthy lives these ways, you didn't. So you have to not only perform a merciful act and rectify with those individuals, the children, the toddlers, the babies. Give them all their heart desires, basiness, and more. To live in luxury, essentially paradise for the rest of their lives. So they're not crying reminded of being homeless, with no caregivers, with no food and water, left alone in the dark. That you wouldn't want to be, but you had budgets to give them money to prevent this, but didn't. Send the water, care for the rest of their lives and all those wrong previous years. Get rid of this that made the billions in White House and the other world previous leaders didn't look into this and care, especially in Africa. The humans still that some survived. Teenagers and adults have won jobs and homes to give them. They suffered already because you didn't provide the basic necessities of life. In your job card and your home physically sold to do. By your job description, maneuver this funding now. Take phone, call, put budget money there. Give them even with their heart desires. You have to, by law, they can sue penny damage and money to give them to anything to make what they cried about that you were supposed to help them. You didn't do to give them to make them happy even more, so they never reminded of it. A nicer home than they could even make themselves. The more nutritious food, water with more, say like Gatorade with electrolytes. Help their health more. Put the mask free there. Send immediately vaccines band-aids, basic medical facility built right now. People love to work, need money there. Beyond poor will stand there and build the house right away. Even respect themselves and to do and to help the children. Make a foster home. This is easily done. You have to act now. Because our Angelica human and millions suffer because you didn't do your job. You have to morally rectify these on earth and by law. Do what's morally right, rectify it, do what you properly do, or you have to go to prison for what you morally knew to do right and care for these humans and other countries. But the disability money didn't, hired wrong staff, didn't look into it. I suffered needlessly. I have rights. I could by law sue this, give money, but I need the lawyers. But I couldn't afford medical ones. You have to put the funding when you're wrong for medical negligence lawyers. This all has to be done as I stated in this video right away. Out of respect of my life, they know right to wrong, and all the other million people, billions in the world for years. It has to, as I stated, by world leaders, top down, look into even previous world leaders' histories, what they were supposed to do in their jobs, rectified for as many humans still living victims and their families that are victim of certain things they were supposed to fund and couldn't and have no proper quality of life, basic necessities, home, shelter, enough shelter from the elements. Keep in mind it's too cold, humans shivering, are ill because of it, or too hot, not enough water. You can see clearly online children with this disgusting bacteria water with distended bellies. You don't want to live like this, but you did act upon nothing. Some of you did the jobs, the world leaders, keep doing it, but you have to. You have more resources. Keep in mind, whoever made them before didn't do the job. Tell them, even if they retire, they have to give back their paycheck by law. Take this money, give it to those victims that didn't help with their budget supposed to the children, to old people, disabled people can't work, long-term care facilities. Shall I look into every mental health ward? These are millions of people needlessly suffering there, don't have to be there. Turn it into a nutrition place of care. So look into every psychiatrist immediate in the world. Most of them 100 million negligent. This is beyond disrespect of human life. Take away their billions immediately, put in prison, and take this paycheck and give to all victims. What they need to live could have made those years and money beyond and have extra money to be happy to rectify this for them. You have to act now, you didn't for years. You know right to leave those that you did suffering. Do your jobs. You have the simple phone calls and money to do rectify this. Take the extra effort, hire investigators, what you're supposed to monitor didn't do. Look into the previous recent history as much as possible and victims and who their caregivers and children, others rectify what the money they need is. Victims need counseling, anything to help them. Mass free have to be sent to these children, have rights to be protected against, to prevent rather the coronavirus. Educate yourself, you know, is your job about different bacteria in that country. Send vaccines. A lot of them could be healthy even with a simple vaccine and simple antibiotics they do not have that 100 million people have for years in Canada. In the States, all over countries, you have morally obligated been for years the world leaders, Pope, all world 100 million different under them state. You have the billions dollars. You actually did nothing to help them to maintain, do your jobs and put the funding there. You knew when you were asked when employed if you're gonna do this to help them provide this, you didn't do. You had no right to do under God by law. Fix it now or turn yourself in prison and they have to take away your entire paycheck of the part you didn't do your job. Use that money to help rectify with the victims. Apologize to a life that you would want apology if they wrong you. Say you're sorry from the heart and soul. You have to get forgiveness and mean it and ask to the victims that you left without shelter, the toddlers, humans without enough jobs, industries. It is humans sometimes rectify on the earth. These world leaders sometimes listen, see, put more funding, but they have the actual funding wouldn't people suffering with no food and working like myself, barely go to a store to find a job to learn to school. And it's beyond disgraceful when they have funding for a second job. I mean, a second studies, thousands given, but not the first one a child needs to learn to have a job in first place, which is almost impossible to get in Ontario and Canada. This all has to be taken care of immediately and fixed in the world. I, Angelica, have I authority, and under God outrank the Pope. A human earth angel, real one, and have authority, and speak this to all world leaders. And have to listen and respect this immediately. By law and under God. Do your part, fix everything, every second counts. That I stated, fix it. You know in your heart is the right thing to do, and you were trained to do this. To work with humans, you know millions of viewers follow you, look up to you to remember this, write it down. Billions of people look up to you to see what you're going on in the world and how you're supposed to maneuver funding, care for the basic necessity of life to have funding and give to these people. You didn't rectify it, fix it immediately, as the ways I stated. Be a proper moral example. If you really think you can't do all your job description, hire someone to help, or really resign and give it to someone who will. There are a million people that care and will actually maneuver funding, keep doing their job, what they're trained to do, and will help, and million people will not suffer. Homelessness, disabled without money, disability, no money, old people without homes, caregivers. Look into the nursing staff. Unfortunately, there's millions in Toronto alone, CAMH, other places. They studied the long years. I don't know how they live their lives, but they do, and it worked, and it didn't treat no one with respect. They do absolutely nothing there. They maybe do one blood pressure check, then they don't follow up on patients and they're suffering, don't tell doctors anything. Most people don't know English, are not helping them at all. Making millions, it could be give to someone that cares, and those people really need nice nurses that are doing their job. They disrespected me. They even made money being rude. What they're supposed to untrain, studied 4 years to help human hold a hand, help to give them nutrition tips, help different things. They did absolutely nothing. They yell at people and say I'm on break. And they're employed still, have the vehicles, live smiling. I don't know how at the end of the day. People crying with no food there. Go on the street and a high budget have there for money in CAMH, mental, illegally overdose with clozapine and don't need it all, most of them. So, and go out on the street with no disability money to live, even for chips, healthy, anything, some real food and nutrition, that's what they need. And go on the street and go beg for food. While the nurses make the billion come there, endanger lives, don't even wear a mask all times, prevent COVID and do different things, don't even help patients, but are given the $1 million paycheck and been going on for over 20 years that I know of. If this makes sense to any world leaders, then resign. You're obviously not competent to do your jobs. And you better rectify this on earth. You don't get away with it under God. It is a severe punishment. You are morally responsible for the health and dignity respect of 100 million lives in your job description, but you didn't do entirely, so you better fix it. Or turn yourself into prison, give back all your paychecks and rectify it on earth and hire someone immediately who will do their job and rectify, put budget to all humans and look into the past and take away all previous world leaders their paychecks that they didn't entirely do, and if they have criminal charges, be assessed properly and go to prison. You are if you by law harm someone and you not to, there's a criminal charges of bodily harm against human freedom of choice, and that's considered human torture, is a disrespect of human dignity, what another human you not to, but harm their life has no right to do, and is fined by imprisonment. So you better fix this on the earth. Most of you care mostly, but so really do your part. But if you're really not going to do your job, do as I stated, exact words, by law. I suffered needlessly. I'm beyond poor and never will have children because of you. And like a million people had bright futures, I could have saved humanity and do my research, but I legally brain damaged and put to sleep, knocked unconscious, and brain electrocuted, dehydrated over 10 times a year. No human should live through, and I'm disabled, memory damage for life because of you. Not caring to follow up on proper medical staff, psychiatrists, doctors, nurses yelled at me for years whenever I would take any dangerous antipsychotics, benzodiazepines I didn't need at all. Disrespect in my life, no right to do, and no money for medical lawyers. And disability was nothing. I didn't even have enough money to go one night shelter out of the cold freezing. For a second, human gets frostbite in Canada for one night, $250 to stay. And a disability gave me a few $100s to last for a whole month, with not enough for food, shelter, clothing at all, for 20 years. A million people begging there on the street in these $1 million, multi-million-dollar facilities, making more money, and people still asking for donations for mental health research. They illegally harmed 100 million people like myself and put it on the psychiatry journals. The money is there. They need to maneuver it to put the nutrition and make it turn CAMH into a nutrition miracle healing center, a merciful healing center, a center to help all those victims that they illegally wronged there and treat them with respect that they right to be. The facilities, new ones there, but not actually admitting patients and a choice to go there. Even the ones they harm are poor people on the street, brain damage when somehow got out of there, released. Even some humans wrong there and escape from there and never return, even though poor leave. I applaud this, I do myself. Then they have police looking after them to find them, to return them there and put them in a worse ward. They did nothing wrong. They don't deserve to be kept there, illegally bodily harm with clozapine. Well, the doctors make paycheck. No, they clearly don't need any harmful. These are dangerous chemicals. Clozapine, all antipsychotics, illegal. Clearly, need to be all Pope Act now and get rid of from world. You make one phone call, and I wouldn't be suffering if you and previous popes did. And 100 million people there in Toronto, CAMH Center rather, for addiction mental health. Emergency room closed. The people already there. There's a buildings, they made new ones, put a caring staff immediately. 100 negligent ones fire, put in prison, warrant for arrest. Criminal charges, they have millions, is easy to do. Call the police, put a warrant for the arrest, put in prison. Take away all previous look into their paychecks, give it to the victims, put a miracle, as I stated, some merciful kindness, compassion center, and actually hire people, nurses that care, would love a job, and would actually done it for years help, and but didn't because these other ones negligent were working there. Care for these people, save whatever life they have, and give them the $1 million they need. Could have ODSP, they damage because you didn't do their job, not because they were negligent. You hired the staff, didn't follow up. All the boards making $1 million are employing and all doctors too. Did absolutely nothing to help me. I went previous other years there, is true. You can see the other video. I have the medical records to prove it. Disrespected a human after knows that didn't even have to be there, kept for 3 days and nights illegally on a form. Medical went to emergency room, they still work there, to keep admitting people there in a place and didn't give me food because they said I'm not registered as a patient. And barely gave me some food, one or two. For 3 days, I had to stay till a medical assessment. What they did right away had to let me go. They didn't assess right away and do this. Put on forms, and then rights advisors need to change this too. The human rights advisor cannot get a human out for 3 days. Well, they're suffering there with no food and water. That's 3 meals a day, night, hard beds, nothing to do there. These wards, the medical staff don't even give a shit. Sorry, but it's true. They are beyond disrespectful of human life and know not to. And they kept pushing even me. I put a t-shirt on and loose pants in front of men there in a drug addict recovery center, emergency room. Could I assess my medical health properly and let me go? They know, but didn't to put a form, so I pushed to put another, and hours later, another psychiatrist went along to assess. What do you mean they assess? They don't have to, they already assessed it is wrong. And then I have to stay there, entered into this room, disrespect my choice, rights, and even if they sue, I have to pay a lawyer, but they cannot get out unless they have a lawyer and can afford it. For 3 days and nights, suffering, freezing with no food and water, till a doctor maneuvers their butt to assess me what they already first blade had to assess. I had disrespected and inhumane conditions that way, forced to stay there starving when I need more nutritious food and let go. And that no one did anything right, and 2 million people that go there for their years. So everyone in the world, and please other humans with other job titles, do your job. All world leaders, do your job. You have the resources. Whoever hears this, get it to the world leaders. I obviously don't have their contact numbers. I already stated previously, had to be done right away, but hasn't been done. I will have to speak to these people personally myself. Angelica, you can't disable because of needlessly because of them. And it has to be rectified on earth out of respect of not only myself, this is out of respect what I suffered. I don't want any other human to live through anything I lived through. What these humans didn't do everything in their job description that they capable of and morally under God and by law had to do to prevent me suffering in places I didn't choose to be, no human wants to live through, inhumane places with rats, they endanger my life, and endangers antipsychotics in my situation, ECT, electrocuted him and brain knocked unconscious, memory damage for life, and I lost the whole U of T studies. They didn't give me $40,000 back. They made millions, didn't harm my health when I was supposed to hire someone that cared and I wouldn't be put there, and still did my research for years and saved 100 million health and lives of animals, nature, all humans. This is a long time, 100 million day and I suffered damaged brain, blood overdrawn, and 2 weeks and couldn't skate after. I studied as child too, caused money, lost. They took away my driver's license right away, as many people, right when admitted. Put clozapine for something they don't have, schizophrenia, fake word. A general term, psychosis, which is nothing to do with a human at all, no brain mental disorder, and put there legally for antipsychotic to oversedate human and sleep knocked unconscious or something else, shaking, injected with different things, and needlessly harm, illegally tortured while they walk there smiling and leave. Medical staff. I put other videos like this into the news, but didn't reply. And this is beyond, this is wrong. Everyone wants to be treated with respect and healthy, so keep that in mind, to treat others how you want to be treated with respect, having a basic shelter, water, food, and help those that you have the resources in your job to do, and make sure they do. If you didn't for years, give more money, make sure to help their quality of life and make them happy, especially the children. They need to be taken care of a million days and nights and never left alone. And the animals have children too. They need a mother to give milk, a million days till they're even adult age. If they have a wound, can heal itself, hire vets, more specialized people that care. Stop giving money to the torturing ones that's supposed to do care, the nurses, doctors, pharmaceutical companies. That's a millions, billions of dollars a past year. Look into it. Put these humans still in prison if they didn't retired. Take away their paychecks. Look into it now. Take that money they no right to make to harm people when they're supposed to help them. They have to still and work out by law. Take their money away. That they actually, that part didn't do their job to help people and harm them. They cannot make under God and by law money to harm, torture someone. They have no right to do and no. Put them if needed in prison. Put them through if needed by law. Humans have other rights. What they didn't show them, tell them what they no rights to harm and see how they would like it to live through be harmed illegally, brain damage with antipsychotic or different things, and homeless when they could have money and didn't put it there to help someone. It is their job, and other people would love to work there and make money so they have food even and a job, and would actually do their job as a doctor and world leader and help these people, and no one would suffer as supposed to be. So everyone, please remember, public places, if it's going to be a mall indoors, closed. St. Peter's Square closed. Is a public place. Obviously, the Pope knows to respect, but no respect for human dignity and life. As a human representative of God on earth, it is beyond disgraceful. Endangered even the last after New Year's and the next one. I put a video. It is a responsibility to go online and see what's going on. It even states Angelica Gicella, Earth Angel. I have a high ranking above the Pope. On the earth, humanitarian as a stated public figure. He has to listen and knows what is right to do right by what I said, but didn't do yet. And all world leaders. This has been in the world. I stated these videos already. And I could only do I don't know how much longer I can live. I am beyond disabled because of these world leaders and others not doing their job, that they're trained and cared actually in their job are supposed to care. Respect my life, but not doing and didn't do. Over 25 years. And the religious fields too need to be looked into. Archbishops, do your job. They're all making the millions of dollars, but they look into the parish, say, look, it's clearly cold, and respect that these humans. They don't have, it's Sunday, a day of rest, remember of anything. Mandate on every site. Archdiocese Pope has contact numbers. World leaders, if you ever hears these other offices, get to the higher offices, call the Pope. Whoever has the contact numbers, you will save 100 million health lives as you and do something beyond great to help human lives. The poor, save the poor children, health, and humans, million religious suffering. And tell them this, and they would love to hear this, and say they don't have to go to church on Sunday. It's a day of rest. God rested. Don't kneel. Your health more important. Don't physically kneel. It is Lenten season. Avoid these stations of the cross practices. Churches closed. All worship places closed. Never kneel. You never have to physically kneel to Jesus. Never physically have to kneel to God or any in heaven. The knees are important. They're going to be stretched, harmed, synovial fluid damaged, kneecaps dislocated. To kneel, it is not a human worth the health to risk to kneel. God doesn't want human health failing. Whoever started this was wrong. No kneeling allowed. Respect your own health, set a good example for others. Spread this information immediately, and 100 billion people will never kneel again, never harm the knees. And children growing will never stretch the knees and be ill, may be crippled for life. I have been kneeling for years, accomplished absolutely nothing from heaven, and I have harmed health, and no, if someone told me I wouldn't kneel either and be healthier. And I go to these masses, disgusting cold churches, getting a cold on the way, which is a virus. Bacteria putting hands in the holy water, which is disgusting. Spreads germs, even without COVID. And these days worse, COVID, who knows where people come from, even with masks. Go to sit there after freezing a whole work school week, could stay home. If someone told me I would. I don't go there and suffer another cold hour listening to sermons. Maybe one is informational, other bullshit beyond words from the Old Testament that's not even a whole sentence, is useless, harms the human health. This is not what God intended for humans to suffer and go. It is a day of rest. And then to go get the Jesus sacrament, no one is required when they burn calories freezing there, then have to exert going up the stairs to the church. There's no God there to heal anyone. Then they're ill and overexerted and tired, and then go sit there for an hour freezing, breathing stale air of a fever, and children in snowsuits. In Canada, it's cold almost all your states. In other countries, too hot, dehydrated. And then there's a so-called worship place. Worship. What is worship? This is not worship. These are humans illegally tortured. The bodily harm and adversely not educated, no one informed them. This is what I'm saying, to hear this for 100 million years. And so please share this to everyone and stop their suffering. Stop this once and for all. To go and walk to get a Jesus wafer, it is disgusting. Humans have germs in itself, everyone different. Virus times. Prevent the spread. People, the priest, they know they clean the hands, but it is disgusting in itself for human to put a little piece of bread in a human hand with different germs. Give it in a human. I got rid of this practice of humans stretch their hands when they're dehydrated or cold and then put their hands in front. Is crossing the hands, is past the center point, is harmful to human health. All medical practitioners, all humans know. Past the center point, never cross the hands, never make the hands together to pray position. It is harmful to human health. The heart is strained in front. Never hold the hands to pray the rosary. Never pray the Holy Rosary. The standard Our Father, 10 million Hail Marys. That is harmful to human health is not by God. They've been prayed over years, accomplished almost absolutely nothing except human health failing. Strained calories, it is more important the intent in soul anyone rule recorded for human tell to God or Jesus, or if they pray for someone, simply short prayer, their intent, that they cared enough and to help the next step God has to do anyway. To heal if they can't, they let God know if it wasn't accomplished, the miracle protection or anything right away. Humans still worship at home if they choose anywhere and simply in their heart to Jesus or whoever. Adoration short in the mind, and it's more important to be healthy. Humans can heal themselves. Well rested, then they can be physically healthy, a temple for their gift spirit to help others. For all world leaders, Pope to focus on this, Dalai Lama, sure love to hear this and do. To remind this and keep reminding humans. People live a long work week. I created this new online merciful information session to replace the old harmful to health, essence mostly Catholic, Jewish, all of them hour-long, harmful to health masses. Physically harmful, travel cold to warm temperatures, harm health, practices that are not by God needed. No one, I got rid of the Jesus wafer in itself. It is disgusting for humans to have a wafer given to their hand and then put in their mouth. Causes spread of viruses even with no COVID. There's monkeypox. There are people taking masks off still in churches in the world, and these are holy grounds. Priests not doing their job, archbishops, cardinals. I put this video already. It is in effect enrolled, but humans still, after I mandated this on the earth, and Pope didn't do his part right away and cannot do. It has to respect the health and lives of 100 million people in the world. All those that know and care have resources, humans to please help. Then the Pope cared and tell him if he can't do his job, the same own process of finding new Pope. It doesn't take that long to find a new Pope. They can find a human caring in another country that needs the job or in that country a caring archbishop or anyone, an incredible job, or is more educated with actually Pope job description, human representative on earth, and knows how to deal with world leaders. There are millions of really educated people that would love to do and actually do a good job, better than any Pope that there was and is. Instantly hired, properly assessed, follow up if they're doing their job because millions viewers human tune in every day. Look up to the Pope, for example, morally under God. A respect of Jesus with advice giving to people, Holy Spirit, Holy Mary. These on this site's Vatican, these people disrespected a human is beyond the words. Disheartening crying to see in the past Christmas, New Year's, the people in St. Peter's Square and the Pope not wearing a mask. Endangered 100 million people's lives after suffered. He had no right to do. And then the next video recently put another, he's doing some Angelus prayer. Other ones about 100 million people standing in the cold. There's even umbrellas cold, no masks. It's cold, the virus is spread. People travel there from other countries. This is holy ground. This is not allowed for humans to enter when there's COVID, pandemics. The Pope himself knows there's absolutely nothing to warn humans to stay home, say don't travel, save your money, your health is more important. That is his number one job. Care for the physical well being and spiritual being of humans. Stay home. They don't prevent the spread, he's not promoting at all. Then he is not a Pope. I already put a previous video. Resign. Give back your paycheck. The other Pope already did and is making more money. I don't know who if he's doing him or the Vatican. This is not by God allowed. He didn't even do his job entirely when he was alive. And previous Pope are bishops there, cardinals. They're making the money in their job description have to help humans too. They're not doing anything right. One or two prayers they say, oh, it's Christmas Advent season, that's one thing. The rest, nothing. To help humans, the world leaders, some of them did more. And they're not the Pope. Whoever has the resources and the Pope contact actual numbers, please give it to me. I will tell the truth to him, and I'll keep talking to him as long as needed. And world leaders, I'll tell the truth, and other people speak what I told is exact truth spoken words of a human. Or the angel wrong needlessly, and these people can clearly see, but it takes humans to act. Remember, if you act against something that you know is to be right and ruled, there are contact informations, push the issue, tell them then if humans act will rectify these and rule, and other people, keep in mind, won't suffer that way. And then get the world leaders. There's the emails if they work even to contact them and keep push and follow up to make sure they do their job in their job description by law under God. If not, hire someone who will, and a million people will have homes, enough jobs, and enough mask free, and the people have closed all indoor malls when proper, preventing spread. Look into close all dining areas, restaurants, say Tim Hortons, coffee shops. All schools closed, prevent the spread. No one even, most people care, but the children walking there with no mask, high schools at all. No masks, no teachers following up, but there's people still ill. The virus has spread away too much in changed forms. It will never leave, and no children will socialize. We never gone, and people already cry suffering, loss, and it is beyond. I don't want to say what's gonna happen next. And there's other monkeypox, and I don't know why that's in the world. This is beyond not allowed. This takes a part of all humans and the world leaders to do their job. They have financial resources, fix everything, rectify everything, as I said. Then, if you didn't do right and resign, I gave someone a job that actually needs money to live for, keep in mind for shelter anyway, cold out of the cold to stay on money, and will actually do their job and help care for the orphans. Maneuver funding right away, water what their budgets for. And disabled people, everyone, country member, a humanist brain damage can work. It is beyond their control. You want to be disabled to have enough shelter and enough normal to live money. Calculate how much you need, how many thousands for basic necessities, food, shelter, good enough quality, extra bit money to make happy what they choose to do, enough for caregiver or transportation. You have the money, resources. You didn't do and find the victims that you wrong didn't give to. Then illegally harmed and damaged. These people need billions of dollars in Disneyland. Nutrition counselors and miracle pray for miracles for them in Holy Land. And your own soul, how you left them alone suffering with these medically negligent stuff like I had to go through, don't need. And so they had every miracle healing possible. They had a clozapine knocked out for someone I know over 10 years with 450 milligrams, don't need. And he wasn't even told, and he doesn't know English, came happy to Canada from a lesser country that was poor and thought he had a nice job here waiting for him in this, and came illegally put in a mental ward he didn't need and assessed wrong and put illegally by a psychiatrist given clozapine. Over sedate, so he lie down and sleep for 12 hours knocked out cold. Ill, not given any vitamins. I found out about him and told him myself, but they had to push the issue. These people heartless and they don't even know English. Other people, old people suffering there for years. Kindheart don't even need these dangers and living there, illegally harmed. Whoever has contact and resources, look into this. Please fix it for me to help. I love to do. I don't have the higher contact numbers. I don't have money for lawyers. If you find a way to get contact me, give me money for lawyers. Look into this. There are other resources, other humans to look into, other doctors, fire investigators, real ones. Look into the CPSO, Canadian Surgeons Physicians College of Ontario, College Nurses Ontario. They themselves say investigating, but had to push the issue for almost a year and a half. They said that the investigating would have taken patient records 1 second and would fire these people. Made an extra $1 million, a victim crying wants to resolve right away when couldn't afford a medical negligence lawyer, and they said they can't give money to the victim, but they hired them. They illegally hired. They hired staff, made $1 million, can in their paycheck. So whoever has lawyers or these government bodies, investigators, real ones that care, go look into these people in previous 20 years for sure. Rights advisors, most of them in Canada, in the nursing college. There's physiologist departments, pharmacists going along with clozapine for sure. These are million staff study to help human health are harming and did for over 20 years that I know of, and some before are still there. And working millions of dollars in luxury live while people freezing on street begging for food. And still donations asked from the people, poor people working to give donations. So I said tell the governing bodies to do their job. It is that people not have no money to live and working to help see these poor people that they make $1 billion. The president Biden and Justin Trudeau and Pope, but doing absolutely nothing to help these people. What is their job? To maneuver the budget there, to give them housing, food, and disabled, to help and toddlers and poor people and the orphans in Africa and other countries, but didn't do. And the poor people working didn't even give jobs enough to know that they would want a job and respect in their budget to do. And saving money, crying see on the news these people and giving money donations there to mental wards when these had to make the $1 billion already and illegally hire these people that don't care and harming people when not actually doing anything right to care for humans as supposed to. All industries, medical, psychiatry mainly, the presidents, world leaders, this pharmaceutical, every company, bioethics boards, health safety boards, 2 people work right, the rest doing their job not. Millions suffered past 100 years. They better look into this, whoever does. I don't have the reason I love to do. Whoever does who can contact me, help in anything, please let me know. I will call them myself. Whoever is more credible, have doctors as well that actually study, know these other laws and things, and the psychiatrists too. Then please do your job when it's safe. Get to look into CPSO, change the laws, look what their job is. If they're not doing it, when safe, find way to fire them. They cannot make their paycheck, the hiring medically negligent staff, and so they follow up and him and have to push the issue after a month. Say, did you hire the investigator? Every day, oh, we're gonna go to say a month, and if call them, did you call them? Did you hire them? Oh, we'll look into it. Oh, then another month goes by. There's a million days and a humanity is done and a respect of life. Don't want to think of these medically negligent staff, but I have to do because they're still investigating, hiring an investigator. where they could put a warrant for their arrest and take away their medical license already. They couldn't even hire these people and do right away. Out of respect of these patients, but didn't, and still making an extra $1 million for a year and a half investigating. So whoever can fire these, look into these investigators, the negligent ones. Some people care, the rest they're not doing their job and can't, and more people suffering. As I stated, they cannot get away with it. These humans are responsible for human torture, illegal bodily harm against freedom of choice. So the hiring medically trained staff that accomplish it. This is punishable by imprisonment, severe punishment, and under God. They know not to harm humans and can in their job with doing and making money for it. Think of it, that is not allowed. People that care for health are hired $1 million doctors to use the money they care to help humans after studying. They cannot harm humans and get away with it. By law, by humans have no medical negligence lawyers, and then these people needlessly suffering and no disability even. Money to live when the brain damage is caused by them. And then they're living in have the White House with $1 million offices, and then the prime minister and these big buildings there, which in itself have $1 million rooms, and the limousines and the vehicles and the police escorts cost millions of dollars, and planes. What they could even they have to cut down. Obviously, they don't need big funding for all this. Their job is to help care and set a good physical and moral example for humanity, and use their bodies to respect humanity, all animals, and consider this all the time. And if they can't, resign, fix what they did in years, apologize sincerely from the heart, ask for forgiveness. It is the victim's right to forgive them. They have to seek forgiveness, rectify these morally on earth immediately. They are judged under God too, and under Jesus, no, and Holy Spirit, religious or not, everyone knows. These are a severe punishment. When a human after dies is assessed first on earth what humans physically do, morally right or wrong, recorded in every human soul. Religious and all not world leaders, everyone knows to morally do right. If they do wrong, is recorded, then they definitely have no right to wrong another human life in any way, especially in their job description, when they're supposed and paid to help someone. They cannot make money paycheck to harm someone when they're supposed to help them. So the money has to be taken away, their paychecks. If they wrong and someone can't and millions suffer, then put in to help those victims, rectify on earth properly, and hire someone who cares. Immediately is rectified that way on earth. Morally, humans have a chance to apologize, rectify if they did something left out on earth, Pope, world leaders, with the victims themselves. Then under God, they know to ask. It is to seek forgiveness if someone wronged them and they said they're really sincerely sorry, realize they did was beyond wrong. Rectify best they can, apologize. Then human has a choice to forgive them. And forgiveness, respect of Jesus, nothing allowed to sin. He died, went to heaven. All humans, religious or not, are judged on earth right away. And the Holy Spirit, they know to respect their souls physically. Their mothers, keep in mind, is everyone cared enough to their health, to the child born in womb, and then raised properly as can, good morals and health. So they can't disrespect, use this, their brains, kind heart, to his page, study and wrong anyone. Out of respect of them, their mother raising them as best can, and the education and others, and then using this to not do their job and make paycheck to harm people and not do all their job to respect that they can to help people. Then the people are harmed. No right to be harmed, disrespected that way, and they don't deserve to be disrespected. And millions suffer, so this has to be rectified on earth. Everyone, please be human earth angels, all world leaders, Pope, is a human that cares for the health, clean mind, the physical brain, physical health. Then when they're physically healthy, well rested, can use their gifts in the soul to help others But if you didn't do anything entirely all right that you have in your job, please do and fix as the ways I stated. And then use your gifts, virtues, understanding of the needs of others as you're supposed to in your jobs. Kindness and compassion is another virtue. Be patient with hearing what others' needs are. These are your jobs. Every job description deals with another human, animals, nature, affect other lives, potentially millions below them, under their job employment, other humans, parishioners, customers, humans of all kinds, other job, and whoever looks into the police online, misinformation to fix. Vatican itself not doing its job. Commercials, advertisement, they cleaned up morally after all the years. Singing industry, get rid of those that have been since 1990s morally doing wrong. Get rid of billions and put something that cares. Let's train a million people online. Respect their lives and health. Do your job. Whoever is hiring these singers, get rid of them. Fire them. Morally do right and fix. This is beyond wrong. They have a right to offend other million people for years. People lives lost. People harmed. Children disrespected. Seeing wrong moral models. This have to be. The Pope didn't do his job, and priest in this in itself. World leaders. These are your jobs too. Think physically to right as you want to be respected even morally. You don't want your children seeing morally offensive singers that have bikinis on with the butt cheeks showing and then promoting all children's sales. Did you see in stores selling this to 5-year-olds to 10 years old children with tank tops, cleavage showing and booty shorts, kids? And they're selling this in stores. And these managers know that they can't put this on the floor, but there's no one looking into these. And the children need proper covered clothing. We sold carrying nice materials, not sold. Everything increased. People suffer driving long distance, even COVID, so the one store barely open. Everything increased, online increased, end up returning it, smells spreading, who knows what. And that I and myself suffer this way is beyond disgusting. It is beyond disrespect of 100 million people, customers in the whole world, online retailers, every store. Some of them Steam years ago started this crease and they steamed it before, so it was nice in the store, but don't. Everything is creased. Maybe some people find one item that's not creased and not defective and buy it and leave. The rest is all, this is respecting nature. Everything is not looked into the world. People, the world is gone downhill and the world leaders not doing their jobs. They have simple phone calls to make, to look in. There's even security videos from far away. Humans can see, look online, access these, the main managers, world leaders, follow up. You have to head down, top down type of thing. Hire security personnel trained to actually do their job. Not only if there's someone going to steal, but assess the managers, see if they're actually doing something. These are people of other trained jobs not doing, and a million people suffering. Everyone is suffering and poor. Not Canada and States is not a land of opportunity as supposed to be, and looked highly upon by the rest of the world. Everyone is basically poor because the world leaders didn't do the jobs for years. The rest of the world too warm and beyond. I don't know how they still this way, but beyond poor and still bacteria, not enough water. After even I studied different things years and seen this should be gone and done, have the funding done, world leaders for in Africa for sure. It is not done in the other main countries. It's almost like desert land there. And then the Pope is not doing anything, and world leaders entirely, most none, and have to do. So maneuver your funding. Do a first even thing of the children. Get yourselves together. Maneuver your funding, budgets. Do think what the budget is your job to do for, easy to do. Then focus every day on this, what your job is. To respect a human and 100 million are going to work and employed and affected under you. Treat them how you want to be respected with basic necessity of life. Budget for. Keep in mind disabled cannot work every day, would love to do. Give them enough money that you would or they would make enough for basic necessities, food, travel. Consider exactly enough money, a bit more for they have something fun to do, what they need, and give every month. Give them money right away. Disability you didn't do, you would want when you're disabled to have money to stay out of frigid temperatures. And you're disabled need every day a hot chocolate and to stay out of the cold, and you can't work. I even freeze outside and frostbite with gloves on in Canada. and a winter jacket and have damaged nerves and can't live and no work because of the medical negligence, and there's no money, disability is nothing. And million people live like this and can't, and they end up freezing to death even they don't deserve in any way. No human does, and world leaders live in these ones and have the budgets, had to make sure this was taken care of and didn't, so you have to fix it now. My name is Angelica Jakela. My name is spelled Angelika. My last name is spelled Jakiela. I live currently in the city Guelph, Ontario, Canada. I'm acting in the best interest of all humanity, animals, and nature to save whatever left of it. Unfortunately, to save and prevent the suffering of all children, humans, animals, and nature. To remind all world leaders what their actual job titles were and are, to look into recent times and previous ones, do what I said in the video, rectify what is done morally on earth right, save whatever's left of physical health of humanity, children, animals, nature, do the right thing, is to respect others as you want to be respected and live enough basic necessities in essence to live, peaceful place, never left alone. Think if you want a proper caregiver, hire those for the orphans that don't have. Think what every word means, orphan. If you look online, the news, Twitter, I can as a human see myself, people suffer seeing this. If you have a job description and put these words in it on your sites every day, remind people what your job is, think of it. If you use your resources and financial resources to accomplish your job, if you're not, fire, resign, hire someone that will. People need the job even for basic resources to live. Food, water, they will do the job and millions will not suffer. Think certain things each word mean. Basically what I said, summed it up. Write it down, these few notes, and think of it every day. And tell others, and they will think of it, and then fire those that don't do their job. Millions will less suffer, as supposed to be. No one is allowed to make other humans suffer. Ill health, failing, verbal abuse, and in any way that they don't deserve to be disrespected. Everyone, please do your part. If you act now, as I stated, 100 million people will not suffer anymore. What they didn't deserve to suffer if you did your jobs for years. Rectify it immediately. Assist me if you can. Please. My email is a.jakiela@hotmail.com. Please contact me, and I would love to speak to you, and I can. And all our leaders, whoever sees this, please, and other humans, please watch it and share to all our humans of all job descriptions, especially religious ones, to help those parts so no more children suffer. Sunday is a day of rest. Please remember that before a long school week, another one, and work week for all religions or not. Please rest. Your health is more important. Always think first about your own health first. Sleep 8 hours enough. Stay where it's warm and safe. Think if it's going to be cold, if it's going to be worth you going outside to get a cold, which is a virus or coronavirus or bacteria. If it's not worth it to go to worship place, don't go. Your health is more important according to all humans, to all God in heaven, Jesus, Holy Spirit of all religions. Never do anything that will strain your knees health, never required by God to do. Don't put your hands together. When the hands palms together, harm your health. Never make the sign of the cross again. Never poor, and someone please inform those poor people in Islam, don't bend on knees to the ground to praise Allah many times, that even not even once. Save their health. These kind-hearted humans, they don't need to harm their health, kneeling, stretching cells since children. God doesn't require them to do this. They can sit easily in a neutral position with their hands to the side and think to God in their soul and thoughts easily that it is intended that way. And to Jesus and Holy Spirit. Please, someone share this to the world. I don't want to see these pure people suffering and not result anything from heaven actually performing miracles or anything. Jesus never actually stood there and said, or God, thanks for worshiping me. Humans have their own life to live one on earth, to care for their health as God once created them in perfect health, and their mother loved into existence and parents. They have to take care of their own physical health and soul and then use this to help others. That is most important. So, everyone, please keep this in mind. Respect your own health. Act now. You will save the health and lives of millions of others. Share, post, tweet these videos to all. Please protect them. Put them on your site. That's what they are intended for. I only can make one. This had to be fixed for years, and I hadn't seen online, so I put it myself to remind all humans to respect themselves and how to be treated they want to be, to act and respect other humans. Everyone, keep in mind, life affects another one. For all humans, see how one human acts or will learn from another human. Children learn things, see how humans act. So keep in mind to respect yourself and dress appropriately. Care for your health, teach them properly. All the animals have souls. They have a personality and emotions to keep in mind. Don't want the virus could spread to them. These are kind-hearted souls. They are to be respected too, to have more research done to every species, to find vaccines too, masks to take care of them when needed, put the earlobes so don't harm the ears. They cannot speak. They don't know how they can bark, maybe an animal meowing a kitten, but they need to be taken care of by humans. There's a nature needs to be taken care of. Need more of these workers. Human study is myself, but to be taken care of and funding, and will accomplish more in the world than it would have if these world leaders and Pope did their job to fund these things, schooling, funding for human minds to learn that our future of the world, to help others to keep in mind. They affect their jobs. A life is not only a job, it's they're gonna care and work with other people and employ others to help others in the ways they're trained. They studied for to help the doctor patients, care for them to veterinarians to help animals so they don't suffer. For the nature conservation is a huge job in the world. This is a serious job. This is what the world leaders and Pope were to be doing didn't do. The world suffered. The Holy God is not on earth, unfortunately, as supposed to be, as I know, and doing his part in monitoring this either. And further doing any supernatural powers of healing's protection for years. Maybe one to miracles performed after 100 million years. So the job of humans to save whatever left of humanity, health, children to care, animals, nature, be healthy yourself, put online anything, could be easily videos, people watch this, get rid of the misinformation ones, save the health and lives of humans. I would love to see something like myself looking for something informative online, videos that people cared about and save their health. Any tip, nutrition will help someone versus some music videos that are straining the heart to get rid of, told the Pope and world leaders, get rid of every scary movie there is. All right, Vatican movies are misinformation is true. Under God, I speak this truth out of respect of Jesus, Holy Spirit, all Gabriel Amor's videos, books, ebooks after he's achieved a Vatican exorcist state and make billions of dollars still. These are misinformation. This is not allowed to be under God sold. Endangers the lives of humans. To online to be get rid of ebooks. Anything to do with Emily Rose, these other ones, anything with demonic possession wording, there's no such thing to be got rid of. I have other articles. This is what the Pope had to do. So whoever sees this in world leaders, I made different videos and different things I suffered on different things and seen. And I put this what they're supposed to respect and have resources to really clean up the world morally and health. If they didn't do, then fix it. You have the phone numbers or the head offices and the Pope, and please act now. Then I won't suffer and other people that already suffered no more. Rectify to the victims, funding is needed. Do what's morally right. You save your own respect of your own soul. Do what's right. Apologize to humans when you didn't do your job entirely. Ask their forgiveness. When they forgive you, their choice. And under God, everyone is judged. Morally right to do out of respect of Jesus. Respect them and yourself, and if you're morally wrong, you can right to sin against someone else. You can't disrespect, sin against anyone. Respect of yourself, Jesus. Do the morally right thing. Everyone is successful alive, but when they die, then they are asked, did you do morally right? If not, and you didn't seek forgiveness or rectify something, then there is a hell. Humans, there is punishment for what they knew not to do wrong and no right to wrong themselves or someone else. World leaders and Pope included, all humans, religious or not, of every job title. So please consider this and remember this and write it down and share it to all people. I'm sure we'll love to be reminded, remind them as needed. Remember this all the time and write it down. All humans of all job descriptions and all other humans, care for your own health and respect your own health and lives and of others. Be human, earth angels. And then when you relieve the suffering, you didn't prevent in your job titles, then people's suffering will be relieved, peace be restored in the world, everyone will be healthy, enough home, have enough shelter, rather enough food and water. Everyone will be respected as they right to be or supposed to be if you did your jobs, but now will be if you fix this. All world leaders, Pope, and all other fields. And then everyone will have joy brought to their hearts and souls, live a happy, healthy life, and heaven on earth as they rightly deserve. Was supposed to be all time, but if you did your job, didn't, you fixed it now, and now they have the heaven on earth that they rightly deserve.